Check, check, check. Check. Are we live? I need to stop that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Sad show today. I don't know. I'm tired. It's been a long week. Been a long week. I don't really have a lot of news today. We got the French election, bunch of climate weather news. It's hot. You guys know that it's hot? I got an air conditioner in this room now, so it's actually really cold in here. I might have to get a hoodie. If you saw the thumbnail, then you know we're gonna be talking about some dark topics today, some deep topics. Um, because my homie Todd died like a week ago, and me and Nada were just talking about this. We were just talking about this past weekend, and I think I figured out what you were doing, Nada. I think you were trying to point out to me. I don't know if you were intentionally trying to do this, but you did. You reminded me of something I already knew. Is that with the whole free will thing, the danger of people not believing in free will is that it can lead them to nihilism. And so at the end of the show, I'll probably just do my little debate recap of the one that I had with Wally. Since I haven't done one of those this week, I haven't really streamed at all this week. Um, do a little debate recap and then start doing some of the research for the next debate about free will. What's up, Spite? Yeah, I don't know all the details, but I just know Todd died like a week ago. That's another one of my friends died for, but I don't know what he died from because his mom and his wife, I don't know. I don't know if his mom's gonna reply to me. I think she probably thinks that me and one or two other guys were like what led to his whole life being a mess. Um, so she might not even answer me, but I got to assume how he died, and I would bet all my money on it. And I say it all the time that a drug overdose is basically a suicide. And I'm not gonna like censor this episode because I'm not gonna say self deletion or it is losing your battle with depression, I guess. But um, he him and his wife have been it's been rocky for the last couple years. I got some. He used to come on the stream and jump on the panels and stuff for a little while, and he was doing good at that time. But they were their relationship. I knew it was rocky because he would tell me stuff about it. He was being the stay home dad. And she was the money maker and all that stuff, and it was just I told him when he was on the stream, we were all calling him beta. We are like, come on, man. A man's got to work. You know, you got to get out there and work, and otherwise, it's gonna be held over your head. And he would call me, and he was like, yeah, you're right. She was holding over my head in like little ways, and I guess he had a lot of drug problems, and I guess he was he would be doing good for a while, not drinking, not not doing anything, and then he would start drinking again. And I guess he told me he was the only thing he was addicted to currently, because he called me on May 17th, so like 2 months ago. He texted me. Here, let me see what he texted me. And I thought, man, I hope he doesn't ask me to borrow money because I don't have none. But he said, Josh, I need your help, bud. And I was like, I work nights, so I sleep in the day, because he woke me up with this call. And he said, I got a lot going on, can't really talk about it, or can't text it. Call me when you can. I said, I'll call in like an hour. And I called him and we talked, and he told me he had basically just walked out of a rehab. And I was like, what's going on? Why are you why are you? He had like left the rehab. He walked out. He didn't finish the rehab. And he's like, my marriage is over, my kids are gone, and I'm homeless right now. He said, I'm going to stay with my brother, and then I got a friend that I can stay with in, like, I can't remember where he said. He said like Iowa or something. And he's like, but if I can ever make it out that way, would it be okay if I stayed with you for like a week or two? Just go check it out there or something. And I was like, yeah, as long as there's no like hardcore drugs around. And he said, well, the only thing I really do is kratom. And there's this kratom thing has been popping up for a long time. And when it first came out, we knew that it was a opiate derivative, and it was just a very, very weak opiate. But now they're saying it's like from the caffeine or the cocoa plant, which I don't know. I feel like they changed the science on it to get it more acceptable, because a lot of people rave about it and they're like, "Oh, it's great to help you quit, you know, opiates and stuff." And if that's the case, if it's a weaker opiate that helps people quit opiates, I don't have a problem with that, because we'll probably end up talking about we will end up talking about like rehabs and stuff, and services to help people with addiction and stuff. Um but anyway, what the kratom thing. So if it helps people get off of heroin, then I'm okay with that, because I use methadone to get off of heroin. So I can't, talk down on that if it works. But the problem is, people started it's just like they do with now with the ketamine for depression. People are like, "Oh, it's the new miracle drug," and and they bury the story that they bury the lead that it's an opiate. And he said that was the only thing he was doing. I don't know if that was bullshit, because I don't know. I've never heard of anybody going to rehab for kratom, but maybe he said he was addicted to kratom. And I don't know how much you have to do, but if you're nodding off and stuff, maybe his wife said you got to go to rehab. I don't know. I just know he called me after walking out of a rehab, and he said, I'm pretty much homeless now, and I lost my wife and my kids. But he didn't sound super depressed, or like, I don't know. He still sounded upbeat. He's always an upbeat guy. And yeah, it's gonna be a bummer show. It's gonna be a bummer. It's not super happy show. But shit, I keep losing my train of thought. So he got out of the rehab, but he sounded all right. And he's like, if I can get out there, can I come see you? And it's almost like, damn, I wish I would have just said, and this is what we're at the end, we're gonna start looking into possible worlds. and nihilism to get off of this happy topic. We'll talk about nihilism and possible worlds. But so it's and this is it's like, what if I would have done something different? What if I would have just said, because what I said to him, I was like, well, floor's coming out here, so I do have, I have space. I have places you can sleep. You can come out here, but I don't want any like hard drugs around me. And floor's coming out here soon, so it's not gonna be like a permanent thing. But if you want to come crash on the couch for a couple weeks or use the futon, you're welcome to. You got a place here, um, to get on your feet, and you can find jobs out here. It's not a horrible place to live, or you know whatever. And and then that's the last time I heard from him, and that was like late May. So I don't know. I thought he was. I don't know. So it makes you think, maybe I should have called him. Maybe I should have kept calling him after that. Maybe I should have told him, hey, instead of saying, well, no drugs, floor's coming, kind of making excuses, but still saying yes. But if I would have just said, get out here, dude, come on, get out here. Um, you can stay out here for a month, and you know he's a good worker. Will help you get a job, and blah blah blah. I don't know. So that's the possible worlds thing. It's like, what if I would have done something different? Could I have done something different? Um, but I don't know. I could have kept calling him. I don't know. It's fucked up. Yep. You do what you do. I do what I must. Luther said that. Yeah. Yeah, and that's true too. If he would have come out here, who knows? Cause dude, there's freaking junkies and homeless people all around the city. It just sucks. And he was close to me. It's a long list of my friends. This is why I don't have friends, because they're all either dead or in jail. But but he was pretty close to me like my whole life. I grew up with him. We were co-defendants at one time. That was my co-D. If you speak the hip hop lingo. And when I needed a place to go, he's the one that got me out to Mad Crew, and I ended up doing that for 3 years, traveling around. He trained me on Mad Crew, and but so that's what we're gonna look at some of these numbers and statistics of what they call the opiate crisis, and also a little bit of the suicide numbers are going up, especially in men, and I consider a drug overdose a suicide. And maybe YouTube will fact check me, or I don't know, I guess we're not supposed to say some of those words too much, but fuck that. Um, when you when you're using those drugs that can kill you, especially now with the fentanyl, um, and once the junkies and the people start being able to tolerate fentanyl more, they'll come up with the K100 or whatever they got in Florida, that's 100 times stronger than fentanyl. Like, fentanyl is just the current thing. There's going to be another one that's even stronger in 10 years. So that's just the way it goes. Um, shit, I don't know where I'm. Oh, so we'll look at the suicide statistics and stuff like that too. But I include drug overdoses with suicide statistics, because it is a sometimes it's a slow suicide, sometimes it's quick, and you could say, well, it's not intentional, but I think it is intentional. I think when people die from opiate overdose, that they knew they were doing a little too much. They knew they were pushing it to the edge. Or they went to a rehab and they quit for a while and then they relapse and there's this newer, stronger stuff out, and so they overdose that way. But it's still like they're usually in a place where they're like ready to die. So it kind of is like a suicide. Unintentional suicide? Well, that wouldn't make any sense, would it? That would just be accidentally dying. I don't there's an intent implied in the word suicide. Same with murder. That's why there's no unintentional murder charge. It's called manslaughter. It's a different word. But before we look at all the stats and all the boring stuff, I was always just a weed guy, well, and selling that. Yeah, Nada. And what we were talking about the other night, you were showing me. I don't know if you were doing this intentionally, but you were showing me the best argument against not believing, or the best argument against not believing in free will is the nihilism that a lot of people will deal with if they totally flipped their worldview on its head, and it kind of breaks down everything you thought you knew once you believe that. For some people, that's not the effect it had on me. It had the total opposite effect. Um, Dang, it is getting cold in here. I'm gonna start shivering. The addict personality is always running away, sadly. Oh, you're saying if he bought it and it was stronger or laced or something like that. Yeah, but I still think you know that risk. You know that that risk is there. And I don't know. We'll talk about all that stuff, but first let's listen to a video, an old throwback from the stream. One second. An old throwback stream with old Todd in it, roasting the whole chat one by one, just going through them because everybody was roasting him. Hold on, I gotta turn this air off. It's actually chilly in here. Woo! We're not gonna mourn the dead. Let the dead bury the dead. But we'll remember him. And then we'll just look at some stats. There is some news and stuff. This French election. I thought they were rioting. If they're not rioting, it's gonna be a boring topic. But because all these countries are having elections and they just seems like there's a large force pushing one way, and then the other person who should have lost gets elected. It's kind of crazy. It's happening all over the world, and then people start rioting. It's crazy. But it's not crazy if you if you read the signs. My brother asked me to be his godfather to his kid. 2 months later, he offed himself. People are unpredictable. Yeah, I don't. The world's a crazy place. Hold on, I'm trying to find a file. It's in this folder and then this folder. And then this folder. Okay. Cool. All right. Here's a stream he was in.
Sucks. Dude, you can't cancel me, bro.
Mailman.
Lynn's about to block Todd. Go ahead and block me, dude. You can't cancel me, bro. Fago at the dollar store. Everyone knows this. Yeah, that's why it's at the dollar store, because it sucks. ICP over Nickelback. All right, I kind of get that, but not really. I was never into the...
He was talking about on Mad Crew when we would tell somebody, go into the gas station, get us a Fago. And then we would just like leave them in some random state. I didn't do this, but he said, and I don't think he ever did it actually either. It was kind of just a joke we had. We'd say like, this new kid sucks. And be like, yeah, tell him to go in the gas station and get us a Fago. And that was code word for, and we'd say it when they were there and they didn't know the joke and we'd all laugh. And it was like a joke saying, we're about to leave you. It was grimy.
ICP thing.
Me neither. Not a fan.
I mean, I think both of them should eat each other.
We talked for a while on this stream.
Man, I got some crazy stories, and that's like, you know, like I appreciate a little bit of embellishment. I don't really exaggerate, and I really don't embellish nothing because the shit.
I don't know why it's buffering. He's like, my wife tells stories and they're just totally made up. I don't know why it's buffering. But here's a couple pictures of him. In case you guys probably never saw him there. He's skydiving. And cooking some food. He was doing
I've been through in life, and like the shit that you've been through. Like, yeah, there's no reason to embellish it. You know? Like, I just tell the story. A party is a company, a group, a gathering. I'm black. Okay, let's see this. I black and slow, but you dim as the rest of us, Todd McFarland II.
That's Lin Chin.
Yo, Lin Chin, you're lucky I can't come see you because I ain't getting the vaccine, fam. You know, like I can't go to Canada because I don't get the shot, which everybody's dying from, by the way. Look that up.
God. Hey, let's not get my YouTube channel in trouble. The Vaseline.
Why? Drama, mama.
It's the most safest and securest.
I scribbled his kid out of this one, but
the elections.
That's probably one of the most recent.
Everybody
picks.
get your Vaseline. Because I've done it.
I remember it was the funniest thing. Todd reading Lynn's comment. Yeah.
This level sucks. I'm not playing this stupid level.
Drama, mama. He don't like rap, but he sure did rhyme on that one.
Yeah. He was in this stream for a while. We were just talking.
I just bought a diamond gold necklace for my wife, so back off, dude. Todd needs inner stillness. I do need inner stillness. I can't find it. You gonna give it to me?
Did you buy that with that new credit card?
Yeah. Yo, I'm just trying to like build my debt, and then once I can't get no more, I'm gonna go get what I need. Because Josh, you know what's coming. I'm not even gonna talk about it here. You know what's coming, man.
Yeah, take out all the credit you can. Go get a loan on it. Go get a big loan on a house.
Dude, exactly. Come and take it. You're not.
Oh,
let's see.
Don't touch the ground.
That's because you have evil. Wait, well, what?
That's because Lin Chin was just going at him. It's crazy listening to this old stream. You hear a bunch of names that were in the chat that aren't around anymore. But yeah, Lin Chin just roasted him for no reason. He's like, "Why are you coming at me, Lin?" It's pretty funny to go back and listen to it. You have evil within you, Todd boy. Todd Debot.
Todd Debot. Yeah, I remember. You remember Debot? That cologne that stunk up the damn
was not cologne. That was not cologne. It was like Windex.
It was. It was like you were spraying like damn. Yeah, it did. It smelled good for 2 seconds, dude.
Oh, I can't touch the ground. I got a bomb Kaiser.
Oh, I have evil within me. You know what I do? What are you going to do about it?
We can keep talking about robots. If it's going to come in the form of these super chats, I'm with it.
Yeah, there you go, man. Yo, how about the Iron Giant? I think that's like, $15 worth of something.
The Iron Giant. Isn't that like a Nazi thing?
No, it's a damn cartoon from like...
No, but it wasn't there an actual thing called the Iron Giant, or it was somebody knows what I'm talking about.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure. I say giant robots are the natural emergence of all life. They're all end result of maximum
Glenn
complexity.
talking about giant robots.
I don't even. Okay, I mean,
Josh J. What's up, Josh J? I didn't see what your message said. You retracted it, but nice to meet you. Never seen you in the chats.
It is a gun.
Yeah, I plead the fifth.
Hey, we got a world record on that level. Let's stack up these world records.
My father. Okay. Up church. There you go, Raymond 11. Up church. Thumbs up. Triggered. Exactly. I ain't triggered. I'll pull the trigger, but I ain't triggered.
Stop freaking missing the guy.
And I'm just playing Mario talking.
Yeah. I got a key. I hope I need 2 keys.
I hope Man Godson ain't saying I'm triggered because I'm cool as a cucumber.
What's up, Man Godson? What's up, Raymond 11? I think Raymond 11 is an ICP.
Butch, I have family there in Americus, Georgia. I hate to give their location, but I ain't scared to because they'll handle anybody who comes up the driveway. 65 acres in Americus, Georgia. Todd Debot, you love your mother in a
Georgia?
way.
Why are you designating?
What?
I don't think anybody thinks you live in Georgia.
No, I don't. No, he said Butch Conger. I'm baking down here in Georgia.
He's freaking out. Todd is freaking out at Liggins, and he's like losing his mind. He's like, "How do you do this with all these people just attacking you for no reason?" I'm like, "Just attack them back." And so he's like, because this is the second time he called into the Discord, and then the first time he's like, "I don't know how you deal with all this. I don't want to," and I was like, "Just talk shit to him back." He's like, "Okay, well, I didn't want to last time, but if that's how it is, then let's go. I'm gonna roast all of them." Yeah, everybody, Blazing Hogs and a bunch of people.
What was the last concert anyone went to?
I'd never been to a concert, but I jumped out of an airplane twice.
I've only been to a couple concerts. The last one I went to was Lil Wayne and Drake versus.
One thing is for sure, we are on.
Who is that? Whose voice is that?
This is Up Church, baby. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, I'm trying to get this not copyright strike.
That's all right. I walk away
Huh?
Too much.
All right, a little more of this.
Robbie,
I don't know what that
competitor bit, baby. Robbie with Jamie. Get to the chopper. Get down, Jamie.
Come on, man. Come on. Give my boy some money.
Give my boy some
You
money.
didn't even say anything, Todd.
Me and JS, man. I remember the days of Macon, Georgia. Oh, it's raining. Let's get out of here. Woo!
It's raining. We need rain.
Oh yeah, it's just, you know how it comes down here, man.
What's up, Amanda?
Like you don't see it coming. Now it's pouring. My kids are running out in the street and I'm running back, soaking wet.
I kissed
Fuck
you.
them. I'm shutting the garage.
Lynn and Chin got a crush on LJ Fox? What the? She's married, Lynn.
You didn't even say anything. Todd Debot, beta. All right, beta. I'm a beta man. All right. I'm the alpha and the omega. Because it's all in my head, man. Dude, I love this. This is awesome. I'm about to put my address on here and be like, come on, we'll talk it out.
What's up, Swan Song? Have you
We
not
got beta.
He's
Swan
trying
Song
to
just
fight
now got here.
everybody.
Where were you earlier when Luca was here?
I'm going to move to America for the AC. There you go.
Macon is where I
No,
saw
but-
KC in the sunshine.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. And me and JS were in jail in Macon.
Yeah.
And we also every night, man. What do we do every night? What do we do every night?
What? In Macon?
You know, we Nick bagged ourselves and rolled a blunt and just got down.
Yeah.
That's all we did, man. And went to Crystal Burger. You know?
I hated Crystal. I still hate Crystal Burger.
I don't like it neither.
I was a Mickey D's guy.
We got White Castle down here in Florida now, and I'm not a fan.
I drank a McChicken and a McDouble every day for like 2 years straight.
You make a McNasty?
A McNasty? Nah,
I still eat chickens, McChickens and McDoubles. All right, enough of that. I just wanted to listen to some of this old stream. So shout out Todd, rest in peace, buddy. Yeah, it's a long list now, but he is probably the one that I was closest with who's died from this. And I don't even know for sure that it was an overdose, but I got to think it was. If it wasn't, then it was some other sort of suicide, cuz what do you do when you know, I couldn't imagine having 2 kids and a wife and a house and then losing it all. I've lost everything, but I didn't have a lot to lose in the first place. And he had a lot more to lose. And so however it happened, I haven't seen Crystal Burger. Yeah, it's not that good. So yeah, they talk about it all the time, the fentanyl crisis, and I just want to see what some of the statistics are. This is from the CDC. A little bar graph for you. So this is number of deaths in increments of 20,000 from 2015 to January of 2024. So COVID time, it skyrocketed, which is what I figured. From about 60,000 to over 100,000, and then it climbed from 22 to 23 slowly. It seems like it's on a downtrend now, but that's probably just because elections are coming up and the Democrats want to show that they are doing something right. But yeah, 100,000, almost up to 100, probably 110,000. 12-month ending period, 111,000. In January 2023, and then the last numbers are 102,000. That was the major part of the C19 plan. Yeah. Yep. And so the orange and the darker orange is the most. Looks like Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. Of course, Oregon and Washington have the most. And then Nevada. Nebraska has the least. That makes sense because there's nothing in Nebraska. Now, I wonder why Arizona and New Mexico have less, because I would think all these border states, all the way up to Wyoming, Idaho, and Utah, they're getting the traffic from the illegal immigrants, because we have all types of Hondos and Paisas on the corners selling opiates. When you're on like the East Coast, it's more, well, at least when I was in Florida, it was more uppers like cocaine and ecstasy is what I saw more on the East Coast. You you wouldn't see a lot of opiates as much. But then the pill issue happened, and Florida was one of the leading states with that, with the Sackler family and the oxys and roxys. They had doctors everywhere in Florida just handing those things out, getting bonuses for it, getting bonuses to prescribe people to a new prescription painkiller. It's just, if you stop pain, you're happy, right? If you can stop your depression, you're happy, right? If you can stop depression and pain, get you some opiates and barbiturates, which are a horrible combination, by the way, very dangerous combination. Um, Opiates and benzos or opiates and barbiturates, not good, because the opiate slows your heart down, and then the other one, they both have a dangerous reaction together. Like, one will put you to sleep, and the other one slows your heart rate down and your breathing down, and your body just shuts off. And now the fentanyl will just do that by itself. It'll shut down everything. Um, so let me read some of this. I want to see this data visualization presents provisional counts for drug overdose deaths based on a current flow of mortality data in the National Data Statistics System. Counts for the most recent final annual data are provided for comparison. National provision counts include deaths occurring within the 50 states and the District of Columbia as of the date specified, and may not include all deaths that occurred during a given time period. Provisional counts are often incomplete, and causes of death may be pending investigation, resulting in an underestimated relative to final counts. To address this, methods were developed to adjust provisional counts for reporting delays by generating a set of predicted provisional counts. So yeah, the predicted provisional count for January of 2024 is 105,000. So it is on a decline. 105,000. And is that a month? 12-month ending period. It's got to be more than 105,000 a year. No, because these numbers change month to month. So that's like 100,000 a month. It's like the reverse opium wars. Yeah. And I think it got real bad with the opiates with the pills, though. With those pills, the oxys and roxys and the Vicodins and the perks, they got people on the pain pills because it's a quick fix. It's a band-aid. You know, it's a band-aid. Your body aches, so take this, it'll make it better. Your mind is weak, so take this, it'll get stronger. And that's not the answer. Because then when you can't get those drugs anymore, or when they take you off your prescription, then you got to hit the streets. And you start with getting the pills on the streets, but then you find out that the pills are very expensive on the streets. And there's a cheaper way. You just get this brown powder. You can snort it, you can smoke it, you can shoot it, whatever you want to do. And and then the people are hooked on the street drugs. And then no matter how much you say, I'm never gonna do this, I'm never gonna shoot it, or I'm never gonna. And it does start with the pot. I used to say the gateway drug thing. Well, I've always said it. It's dumb. It's a trivial truth. It's what we call a trivial truth, that weed is a gateway drug. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just because you smoke a little pot when you're a kid doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to turn out to be a heroin slamming junkie. But often cases, the people who become heroin slamming junkies did start with pot. It's just like if you have a tendency towards those things, you're going to start with the weakest one and work your way up. So pot is a gateway drug because it's usually the first one people do. But I always say that's like saying learning to ollie is a gateway skateboard trick. You know, it's true. That's the first one you do, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But you start with the little pot, and then you get to the pills, and then you end up with the street drug. You know, I say, when I was first started smoking pot, I was like, I saw the kids who were a little older than me, like a grade higher, and they were taking pills like Valiums and just trading girls, you know, trading their pills. And then my friend started dating one of the girls in that group of pill heads, and it was like, if you don't do this, you kind of don't fit in with us anymore. Like, so you know, so then you're like, oh, let's do it. So we would do some Xanax bars and some Vicodins, and with this little friend group that, and then that's another little friend group now that I don't want to have FOMO. I don't want to have fear of missing out. I got to be with all these different friend groups, and then soon you're trying the pills, and then you find the guys that do the mushrooms, and you want to go to a party at their house and they're all doing mushrooms. I'm not blaming these people. Um, it's just kind of how the progression happens. Then you're doing mushrooms. Then you go to one little friend group's house and they're all doing cocaine. And it's like, oh, let's try that. And then you try the ecstasy. And then you keep saying, I'm not going to go any farther than this. But eventually you do go farther. And a lot of these people end up chasing that dragon until they're out on the streets. You party till you get a hangover. I party till I'm homeless. We are not the same. You haven't overcome? Okay. Well, I don't I don't even the reason that addiction is in parentheses is because I don't even really believe it's not a psychological thing, it's not a chemical thing, it's a spiritual thing. And when you identify it as that, then it becomes a problem. So um how are you? He wanted to be with the girl who was a druggie, so he kept getting more and more serious drugs. Um, that's not really how it happened with us. It was just, well, yeah, he wanted to get with her, so we tried the pills, and then that didn't last long. And then, but we still liked the pills, and we kept doing the pills, even though the girl was out of the picture. And she had a friend too, and they wanted me to date her friend. I think we were like girlfriend and boyfriend for like a day, because I was like, yeah, I'll date her, just so that it won't, so there we won't have third wheels. It could be like a little group. And I was like, I don't even like this girl. Well, I don't want to date this chick. Are you implying that addiction isn't a disease? Of course it's not a disease. Yeah, that's dumb. I can't stand that. Addiction is not a disease. It's spiritual. It's due to trauma that is put on you 99.99999% of the time by your parents. For boys, it's going to be more the mother. I think it's usually the mother for boys and girls. Could be the father, but in most cases, kids yearn for their father and they resent their mother. Addiction is a spiritual problem. Satan wants us to think it's a disease. Yeah, that idea that it's a disease is dumb. It's that's crazy. It's not a disease. It's mama trauma, exactly. It's a spiritual trauma that's put on you as a child. And that's what forgiveness is for. And that's how you overcome. Finally, someone that agrees it's not a disease, it is a choice. I think a lot of people agree with that, especially a lot of people around these parts. Mayhem. I didn't know where you were coming from. That I thought you were about to say you're crazy, Josh. It is a disease. No, Norm Macdonald said he was talking about alcoholism, but I think it applies to addiction as well. Addiction. Um, he said if it's a disease, it's the best. If I can't do a real good Norm. If drug dealing was a disease, it's probably the best disease you could get. It's the only disease, or if alcoholism was a disease, it's the only disease where you can go to the bar and drink with somebody with the same disease and potentially have sex with them. Yeah. No, it's not a disease. It is a choice, I guess, if you want to use that word. I'll give you the word choice there, but you can will your choices, but can you will your will? I would say no, you cannot. So maybe he also drank. Norm was a cigarette smoker. Maybe he also drank. I thought he was other than the cigarettes, I don't think he really did drink much. I'm getting distracted trying to trace these circuits. Don't electrocute yourself, Nada. But shoot, where are we going? Sorry, I didn't really put a lot together for this. I guess it is 100,000 a year. It's not 100,000 a month. 106,000 in 2021, 111,000 in 2022, 107,000 in 2023. Let's see. Let's look at some more numbers. Yeah. I'm definitely on the boat of the instead of how do I want to get into this? So I think all of the people all of the people that I know who have died from this now, all of them were clean and doing good for a while. And then they just died all of a sudden. And it's a relapse. They quit for a while and then they use one day and then they're just dead. And I don't know many who died who were using daily. It does happen. I saw it happen at the shelter. I would see people die and who were frequent users. But usually it's the people, a lot of times they go to rehab and then they get out and then they relapse. That's why I kind of have a problem with forced rehabs. And Easy had this topic on his thing the other night. It was should we jail addicts or should we help them? And most of the people were just saying just jail them. But it's a tough question because like I said, I used methadone. That was one of the only times I guess I was on public assistance. Another time was 10 years ago when Flora was out here. We were on food stamps for 6 months. But when I was homeless, I got on the methadone program and I went through the homeless services place. And so I got it for free. Or I think for a little while I had to pay $2 a day. And then they got a Pell Grant or something or a grant and they made it free. But and that really helped me quit. So something like that helped me. So, but then again, there's people at the methadone clinic who never get out. And they kind of coach you on that. They kind of teach you, some people are lifers. We call them lifers. It's more like deathers, but they call them lifers. They acknowledge that some of you will never get off of this. You're going to be on this forever. And you'll see people downplay how strong it is, but methadone is very strong. but it helped me get off. But then I see people get forced into rehabs and they get out and then they overdose and die. And then putting them in jail, what you put them in jail, taxpayers just pay for them to stay there and then they get out and then they start using again and they die. So I don't know what the answer is. In my kingdom, it would just be we'd have a wall, and if we'd try to give them help after the first couple times, but if you don't seem like you want to change, then we kick them out, we banish them. Lifers, yeah, the methadone clinic would call them lifers, which I don't know why you would even put that thought into their head. The thought should be, upon entering, that the goal is to get you off of the drugs with this. And they come up with incentives. So if you do a P test every month because they want to see if you're doing other drugs. Because again, if you're doing barbiturates with opiates, it can be really dangerous. And so if you're passing all your drug tests and you're going to all your groups, then you get take-home things, so you don't have to come to the clinic, and they incentivize you. But they're not encouraging you to lower your dose. They were quick to let you raise your dose. They wouldn't really encourage you too much to lower your dose and encourage people that they could get off. No, they'd tell them at the onset, you might be here for your whole life. You might never get off this. And that's not the right attitude for it. So I don't know. That's a tough question. I see all these services, they don't work, but then I used one of the social services to get off of heroin. So, and it helped me. So I was grateful that that was there. But when they like arrest somebody and force them to go to rehab for 6 months, that doesn't work. And I think the statistics they have statistics on it. Although some people attempt, this is from addictionhelp.com. Although some people attempt to treat their addiction themselves, many are unsuccessful. Addiction is a complex disease that often that's a cop out. That's a cop out because a disease is something you just get, you don't just get addicted to drugs. You start somewhere and you go down the wrong path. And it's not, oh, one morning I just woke up and I caught the old addiction, you know? No. I also don't like when people say that it's genetic. I'm a DNA denier. All these gene people will say, well, it's genetic. It's in your genes. There's genetic identifiers that make you have a proclivity toward addiction. And it's like, no, what that is historical spiritual trauma in your family, because it's passed down from mother to mother to father to mother to the whole family. It's a demon, it's a plague that spreads through the whole family. And so and you have to break the chain. And I'm a big proponent of forgiveness, going to your mother and father, which going and forgiving your mother and your father, returning to your father, talking to them, having a conversation with them, letting go of anger, be still and know God. All the stuff that I know you guys are going to say, shout out JLP and all that stuff, but this isn't just a him thing. Like once you see it and you see that it's true, you'll start seeing it in movies. Every movie there's a theme where the character, not every movie, but a lot of movies, it's a common theme that the character has issues with their parents and they need to go and forgive their parents. It's because that resentment is first put into you by your parents. And usually it's first through your mom. And that resentment builds and builds and grows and grows. And people will make fun of the word trauma because I know the left overuses trauma, but I kind of agree with it because it is a spiritual trauma and it affects your whole life. And it's, this, if you want to call a demon a disease, then you can call it a disease if you want, but it's not. It's a spiritual thing that is passed down through the generations. It's not in your genetics. It's not a disease. That's all a cop out. That's all a way for people to say, "Well, I can't help it. I can't stop it." Um, and I would actually agree. You can't, but God can. If you if you render to His will, God can do it. It's nothing impossible for God. And some people, maybe it's an instant thing. God can just take it away instantly, and they go cold turkey, and they live a great life after that. But some people, it takes longer. We're not on our time; we're on God's time. And if you pray, and I don't mean words and vain repetitions, I mean being aware of God constantly, taking time out of your day for God, um, praying, praying in that way. And you can get down, you can break down, and you can say, "God, take this away from me." But He's not going to give us more than we can handle. So, um, if you just keep following God and not overreacting to the situation and staying focused on that, you can get out of it. But this idea that it's a disease and these treatment centers, for the most part, that's not going to save you. You have to want to do it, and that want or that need to do it comes from God. It comes from something outside of yourself. So see, I'll borrow from a bunch of different ideas. NA and AA, if that works for you. I'm not a fan of it. Uh, it's just a place where a bunch of addicts go together to share war stories and find other addict girlfriends. I'm going to use the word addict because that's the euphemism that we're used to. But again, I don't even like saying addiction or alcoholism, because once you identify with these things, that's what you are. As a man thinks, so he is. That's not Descartes, that's in Proverbs. But it's the same thing with abuse. You can break the cycle of abuse. Right. You can break all these cycles that will be passed down to your kids if you don't. But once you break the cycle, you can live perfectly. You can have perfect peace. I don't believe in this no man is perfect idea. That should be that's our command. That's our that's the divine commission, is to be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. To seek God along with nothing else. Be right, do right, and lead the way. That's that's uh that's our job. Overcome through God, not demons. Demons, not DNA. Yep, demons, not diseases. Demons, not DNA. Facts. But they don't teach it that way. They teach it. They use all this psychosemantic garbage, which a lot of it, if they didn't leave out that one important piece, which is God, that tiny little, that tiny little piece, the grand mover, the prime mover, the creator of all things. If you didn't leave out that tiny little piece, then maybe your ideas would work, because you're you're studying people, you're learning about people. This is why I like psychology, but I hate psychology, because you're studying and learning how people behave and people act, but you're on the wrong plane. You're playing on the wrong field. You're close, but you can't get to the answers, because you're leaving out the most important piece. And I don't know. Thoughts on Arthur Quan Lee? He's that Asian painter guy. He's pretty cool. Um, Quitting cold turkey or trying self-treat frequently leads to relapse and possible accident drug overdoses. Yeah, but everybody I know who died from a drug overdose had just got out of rehab or been to rehab recently. However, it's not impossible for individuals to self-treat their addiction. Self-treat their addiction. So like, see, I don't even like this language. People with mild or moderate substance abuse issues commonly report cases of successful self-treatment. Even still, self-treatment usually takes longer and is far more difficult for individuals to manage on their own. Right. Well, see, they don't include God treatment. They don't include taking a different kind of drug, the Christ pill, in these statistics. They would call that self-treatment, even though it's not yourself that's doing it. Professional help can lead to quicker recovery and allow addicts to avoid potential harm. Yeah, a nice way for you guys to profit off of what you're already profiting on. They profit off selling the drugs, and then they profit off the treatment for the drugs. Treatment for the treatment. Wow, treatment for the treatment. Huh. I never thought about that. That's interesting. So I'm gonna have to write that down. I heard the entire Josh, you were spitting some wisdom. You don't need anything other than therapy and more therapy. Try BetterHelp. Exactly. Exactly. AA has the same success as not participating. If alcoholism and chemical dependency was really a disease, then treatment would not be as effective as no treatment. Yeah. You know, if AA works for some people, then do it. Like, this is why I think you got to do whatever works for you. But I think to refrain from it and to not relapse, they'll teach you in these places that relapse is part of addiction. Relapse is part of addiction. When you relapse, that's part of your addiction. When you relapse, well, what happens when they relapse and they die? Um, Stop teaching people that you can be free of this. There's a way to be totally free of it. And people probably like look at me and they'll say, "Well, are you free of your addiction, Josh? You still drink a lot of beer, you still smoke cigarettes." And it's like, yeah, maybe you're right, but I'm not getting trashed every night. You know, I drink some beer on the weekend. I smoke my cigarettes. Cigarettes is tough, but I'm working towards overcoming it. I at least have the mindset that I want to. And it's taken time, but relapse is part of your recovery. Why would you teach somebody that? Why would you teach them that they can't be free of it? Like, um, I don't, I don't think it's a good mindset to even all these words, these addiction, relapse, treatment, trauma. It's all like words they use to give people a cop out. It's a disease. I don't really have my thoughts in order. I'm kind of a little jumbled here today. People can't realize cigarettes are a harmful vice compared to crack, I guess. Right. Like cigarettes and beer, slamming heroin and meth. Which one's you know, it's kind of a difference. There's kind of a difference there. That's a that's a concept I'm working on, is the idea that I want to do a show about it one day, but I need to really get my position on it down, because I don't know, between, in God's eyes, are all sins the same? I guess I would say in God's eyes, all the sins are the same. An angry person is the same as a murderer. Um, Smoking cigarettes. In God's eyes, I don't know. It's a tough one. Are there levels to sin? Is basically the concept. Are there some religions, some denominations will say there are different levels to sin, and then some say, well, no, sin is sin. God sees them all equally. Um, that's something I've still been trying to work out. I don't know where I stand on that one, but at least on our level, in the physical world, smoking a cigarette is not the same as slamming dope. It's not. Those two things are not the same. One of these things is not like the other. So that seems obvious, but makes it easier to control us. It's like CIA mind programming. Yeah, guys, they're giving people ketamine for depression now. I did a whole show about this. Ketamine and mushrooms for your depression. Well, it's microdosing. Yeah, it's microdosing until the microdose doesn't work anymore and you have to take a macro dose. Pretty soon you're just a tripped out dang hippie walking around high on mushrooms all the time. The ketamine treatment, they actually slam it. They shoot you up with, which that's even harder than when we did ketamine back in the day. It was like aluminum foil. You had to like bake it on a pan and then you had to like smoke it. You had to like freebase it. And like now they're just slamming ketamine into people in a doctor's office. Ketamine is a crazy drug. Watch The Demise and Rise of Steve-O if you want to see. He was on duster and ketamine, basically whippets, which is nitrous gas, huffing. He was huffing and doing ketamine. And but he got his life right. And maybe these celebrity ranches where you ride horses and you got a fireplace and rock structures and a big garden to walk around in, but it costs $100,000 a month. I'm sure your insurance will cover a chunk of it. Maybe these resorts are better, but that's not where they're sending the people on the streets. They're sending the people on the streets to like a little facility. What was that movie I watched the other day about this girl that she went to this facility and she said at some point she did a questionnaire. She thought she was visiting a therapist. And then at some point in the questionnaire, the therapist says, have you ever thought of hurting yourself? And she's like, yeah, I've thought about it. And the therapist is like, how detailed, or like, what did you think of doing? And she's like, well, I thought about, I was Googling the toxicity levels of different drugs. And I thought about just taking that number of pills and going to sleep. And the next thing she knows, she's getting involuntarily committed to this place. And then she finds out once she's in this center with a bunch of crazy people from a guy who's there. He says, did you tell them that you thought about hurting yourself? And the girl's like, yeah. He's like, that's how they get you. And now they're just going to keep you here as long as your insurance keeps paying. And so that's like and those places are not nice places. It's not like when you watch what was that show on A&E or whatever, where the family would all come in, Intervention. They take those people to like a resort rehab. That's not the rehab that you go to if you get picked up onto the interstate with a bunch of drugs. Like you go to basically just a hole that they throw crazy people into. And maybe that's a solution. I don't know. Get them off the streets somehow. Put them to work. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a telios, as they say, a telios. Because without it, then you're just aimless. these people, I don't like depression. I guess if you want to call it depression, but I don't like the word depression because, again, I think it's a spiritual thing, not a mental thing. But they are depressed. They've given up. And so they don't care about the fact that they've been wearing the same clothes for 3 months and they're not cleaning themselves. They just want to get the next hit. That's why you always answer no. F doctors, they can mind their own business. Smartest dude I knew left his job and disappeared. Wound up he went 1,000 miles away and OD'd. He was a pot smoker. He was always a pot smoker. Yeah. So this article, I haven't read it yet, and I feel like they're gonna throw a curveball in here, but this is from Cornerstone of Recovery. The complexities of addiction treatment, why rehab doesn't work. If you're the loved one of an addict who's been in and out of addiction treatment centers, this is really small writing, then you're no doubt wondering why drug rehab doesn't work. It's not that it can't work. An effective drug and alcohol treatment center provides the tools that any suffering addict or alcoholic can apply into their own lives to use as a basis for sobriety. However, that doesn't mean that alcohol or drug rehab will work. And that can be chalked up to a number of reasons. The biggest, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse Treatment, enables people to counteract addiction's powerful disruptive effects on the brain and behavior and to regain. We're going to go into fast reading because this is like regain control of the lives. The chronic nature of the disease means that relapsing to drug abuse is not only possible but also likely. Relapsing to drug abuse is not only possible but also likely, with symptoms recurrent rates similar to those for other well-characterized chronic medical illness such as diabetes, hypertension, and asthma. I don't think any of those are real. Diabetes is because we're all fat and we eat too much sugar and garbage. Hypertension, probably due to stress and anxiety, which would be a spiritual ailment. You wouldn't have hypertension if you found perfect peace. And asthma, well, y'all know what I think about asthma. That also have both psychological and behavioral components. But what about spiritual components? Could it be that those things all have a spiritual component to them? And because addiction is such an insidious illness, the inability of an addict to stay clean and sober even after treatment is often deemed a failure. But as the NIDA points out, this is not the case. Successful treatment for addiction typically requires continual evaluation and modification as appropriate. Yeah, we got to watch you forever, similar to the approach taken for other chronic diseases. For the addicted individual, lapses to drug abuse do not indicate failure. Rather, they signify that treatment needs to be reinstated or readjusted, or that alternate treatment is needed. Right. We got to keep putting this Band-Aid on you forever, and we don't have the cure. It's crazy. We don't have the cure. But yet all these Christians, thousands and thousands of Christians, the number one best cure, the best known cure for drug addiction is God, is Christ. He's cured more than any, and that's just everything. The most cures for anything is Jesus, the Son and the Father, and the Holy Spirit. That's the number one cure, but they won't mention that in their medical journals. To get a better understanding of why drug rehab doesn't work, it's important to differentiate between effective addiction treatment and those programs that claim to offer it, but don't have the means, methods, or capabilities to do so. What does that mean? It means we need more funding. That while 12-step programs have proven beneficial for thousands, if not millions, of addicts and alcoholics, creating a treatment center based solely on 12-step abstinence-based therapy is often seen as an outdated model. Drug rehab, as it's most frequently known, came about during the 1950s when a treatment center in Minnesota, which would become the Hazelden Foundation, gave birth to what's known as the Minnesota model. As this Minnesota model attracted more people from AA, the prototype for modern day rehab was born, guided by the folk wisdom of recovering people, particularly through the perspectives of Alcoholics Anonymous and related 12-step programs. According to Skoblik, while that wisdom can serve as a firm foundation for drug and alcohol treatment, Skoblik continues, moral principles are not medical treatment. Moral principles are not medical treatment. So see, even when they start getting close to God, because AA was originally based on God. That was part of the 12 steps, was the serenity prayer and understanding that you can't change yourself and you have to have a higher power to help you do it. AA understood that. Now, as time went on to gain more acceptance and popularity, they kind of took the Abrahamic God out of it, and they put in this kind of deist idea that, the chair could be your higher power. It doesn't matter what your higher power is. A chair can't be your higher power. No. The doorknob could be your higher power. No, it can't. You could be your own higher power. No, you can't. So they mention moral principles, which morals, where do our morals come from? Did they evolve into us or did they come from God? Moral principles are not medical treatment. Having moral principles are not medical treatment. That's true. That's a true statement. I'm not disagreeing with the statement, but it's like, so what are you saying? Are you saying God doesn't work? What does that mean? You need more medical treatment for your medical illness? Treatment for the treatment. And using AA as the only rehabilitation treatment rather than as an adjunct to treatment defies the reality that there are many different effective treatment methods. But again, as much as I disagree with all of this, if I quit heroin by using methadone, then I used a little bit of medical treatment, but that wasn't my focus. So see, I think they got it backwards. The moral principles, which I would call following God, should be the primary thing. And then you can use some stuff in the world. You just have to be careful because a lot of that stuff, like I said, with the methadone clinics, a lot of that stuff will lead you astray and they'll want to keep you in that system forever. They don't want to let you out of that system. More money always answers the problems. No problem, producer. Later. Been clean for 17 years. That's what's up. That's what's up. I don't know if I think maybe we've got all this covered. I don't have the suicide statistics. I thought I did. But I guess the only thing I wanted to say on that is that an overdose is a suicide. So and a lot of people are committing suicide, whether through drug overdoses or other means. And I don't know. It's the same solution. Forgive, pray, seek God. Go to church. You need meaning in your life. You need a purpose. Get a job. Go to the gym. Find a group or something. If you like playing chess, go to the chess club. Go to the park on kickball night. I don't know. Go do some jujitsu. Find something. Somebody said depression is boredom. Depression is comfortable boredom. or comfortability and boredom or something like that, which basically means if you have time to be bored and you live in a society that makes the type of person who has time to be bored, which I would say is a lazy person, um, and your society enables that through basically food stamps. You don't, if you're working, if you're staying busy, you're doing activities, you have a passion project that you're working on, you have hobbies, you have your job, you have a pursuit for knowledge, maybe reading, learning things. As a man doing all that, you don't have time to be bored. And I would assume as a woman, if you have kids and stuff, then you don't have time to be bored. You got kids to take care of. You got your projects that you're working on. You got to do the accounting because I suck at math. Um, you got to clean this house. women got stuff to do. We got boss babe working ladies nowadays. So, I mean, I'm sure they got jobs to worry about. But even if you don't have a job, if you're a stay at home trad wife, you got kids to raise. You don't have time to be bored. When you have time to be bored, that means you're probably being lazy and you're comfortable with it. And that leads to depression, what they call depression. Depression is comfortable boredom because exactly no time to be bored. The list is long. Right. So if you stay busy, you don't have time to be depressed. You don't have time to be bored. You don't have time to be sad. You got things to do, you know? And so people get this depression, and then if you add addiction to that, you add drugs to that, then they end up committing suicide. So the same solution for them as the drug user is you need God, you need to forgive, you need a Christian family, like-minded people, keep good people around you, get away from the places and the people that make you think and feel that way, and either be a lone wolf or put yourself around you know like-minded people who want to improve themselves. Suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the US. In 2022, 49,476 Americans died by suicide. There were estimated 1.6 million suicide attempts. The age-adjusted suicide rate in 2022 was 14 per 100,000 individuals. 2022, men died by suicide 3.85 times more than women, and I think that number's going up. White males accounted for 68.46% of suicide deaths. That's another thing. That this is a suicide is not. Now, if we're counting again, if we're counting overdoses in this stat, then it probably changes. But if we're not counting overdoses, suicide is generally not a poor person problem. It's not homeless people who are out there committing suicide. If we take overdose off the table, if we take when a homeless person gets drunk and freezes in the streets, I consider that suicide. But if we take those examples off the table, it's generally more middle class, middle aged white men. And you could say that has a lot to do with culture. That has a lot to do with the society we live in. I don't like the victimhood mentality thing. I don't like playing that game and saying, no, they're attacking the white man. But, if the statistics bear out and we can track over time as these changes in America are happening. And it's kind of like they're just always shitting on white men. Um, you know, could be a reason. It could be in the movies they do it, in the TV, just everywhere. Now in legislation, it's like a lot of young and middle-aged white men, they're just sick of it. So 68% of suicide deaths were white males. Firearms accounted for 54.64% of all suicide deaths. 94% of adults surveyed in the US think suicide can be prevented. 94% of adults think suicide can be prevented. How? How do you prevent that? So see, that's that idea of possible worlds. Can be. Well, can be is the future. Can it be? I don't know. I don't think suicide can be prevented. What would you do? You can take the guns away. That's what a liberal would say. 54% of suicide deaths from 68% white males. Let's just take all the guns from all the white males. There's a way we could prevent it. I don't think that makes any sense. I don't think that follows. I don't know. I might be part of the 6% in this that doesn't think it could be reduced. And the way we reduce it is through a spiritual revival. And if white men are this large a portion of the number, then we have to strengthen white men mentally, physically, spiritually, and that would reduce it. I don't think we could prevent it. We could reduce it. So I guess I would be. I don't even like the way that question. Do you think suicide can be prevented? If I'm there, I guess I could smack the pills out of their hand. For the time being, I could prevent it. But what are we going to put cameras in everybody's house that we think is a suicide risk and watch them, and then like have some sort of shock collar if they try to do it, we'd shock them or something? What do you mean? How could you prevent it? You could reduce it. A person that doesn't want to be here will still find a way. Yeah, like even Epstein was able to kill himself. If he was able to do it, anybody could do it. In a cell with paper blankets and no, I think he had regular sheets. So, but I do think you need to get help. If calling the hotline works for you, then call the hotlines. If talking to somebody is what you need, then talk to somebody. And people, we all got to be like open to showing love to people and not not blowing people off. At the same time, you don't want to associate with these people. You got to focus on yourself first. You don't want to be around these people that bring you down like that. But then once you get out of it, you got to be strong enough to be able to go back into the fire to pull your brothers out. Which means you might have to go into the shit. You might have to go into the battle. And maybe if you're not strong enough, that's probably a bad idea. But once you get the plank out of your own eye, once you get the log out of your own eye, you got to help your brother get the speck out of his. So, all right, I'm going to go take a quick restroom break. Biden is set for a pivotal 21 hours. We'll move on to a little bit of politics and news and stuff like that. I don't have a whole lot, but it's election season, so we got to keep our eye on Biden. Apparently, he's mailing in questions to radio shows, and I I guess they told him, you got to be more energetic, Joe. They all think you're going to die on the stage. So he's like, ah, in all his press conferences and all his phone interviews now, he's like, Biden on 1,000. I don't know what kind of drugs they got him on. It's sad when we have a drug crisis and a suicide crisis in America, and our president is 1,000,000 years old and he's hopped up on every drug you can think of. But that's reptiles. That's what they do. You guys listen to this. I'm going to go to the restroom real quick and make a cup of coffee.
More clear. He says he is completely ruling out leaving the race. Biden hit the trail in battleground Wisconsin, knowing the stakes. A growing number of Democratic lawmakers and donors want him to step aside over concerns about his fitness to serve. Just today, one of his top allies, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, asked him to carefully evaluate whether he's still the Democrats' best option. And CBS News has learned that Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia is talking to colleagues about finding a way to ask Biden to get out, according to one senator contacted. CBS's Scott McFarland is in Madison, Wisconsin, where the president spoke this afternoon. Scott, frame it for us. Just how important is today and this weekend to the future of Biden's candidacy?
A pivotal 72 hours ahead. He has a network primetime TV interview tonight, a rally in the battleground state of Pennsylvania Sunday, and he told reporters he's talked to at least 20 members of Congress as he tries to save his campaign from internal party pressure. Trying to prevent his political support from crumbling, President Biden rallied voters in the Democratic stronghold of Madison, Wisconsin.
I am running and going to win again.
Openly acknowledging a revolt against him by some in his own party.
Okay.
Despite that some folks don't seem to care.
I think I showed this. This is from the same conference that I showed last week that he did, but it looks like maybe he's wearing a different suit. But Biden campaign in Wisconsin defies calls to drop out. Completely ruling that out. We're completely ruling that out. They're completely ruling that out. That is not an option. Biden will not lose his battle with depression. Cartels for killing each other. The demon-possessed man from Gadarene. He wanted to follow Jesus, but Jesus told him, nah, go tell people how God freed you. I gotta close this door. So they're not dropping out. Biden ain't quitting. Biden ain't giving up. Biden's in it to win it. Let's go. President Biden had a message on Friday for Democrats and others who are calling him to drop his re-election bid after last week's debate. I'm going to run and I'm going to win again. That's what he says. Now, you probably heard we had a little debate last week. Can't say it was my best performance, but ever since then, there's been a lot of you know the thing. What's Joe going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? What's he going to do? Well, here's my answer. 1, no. I am going to run and I'm going to win again. I'm the nominee of the Democrat Party, the president said. You voted for me to be your nominee. No one else. You, the voters, did that. And despite that some folks don't seem to care who you voted for. Well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. Well, let me say this clearly as I can. I'm standing on the river. He never won the first time. Biden campaign provided list. Okay, so here's the other story from this week. So Biden went on a black radio show. Let me read it from this local news. This is CBS 42. The Biden campaign drafted questions for the president's interviews on a pair of black radio shows. They got black radio shows. This is why racism still exists, because there's black radio shows. Imagine if we had the white radio network. Happy White History Month, by the way, guys. Oh man, sucks. And Todd loved 4th of July. I think probably that's probably had a lot to do with it. He loved 4th of July. He loved barbecuing. He was a great chef, cooking giant grill meals, doing fireworks with the kids and the family. He loved 4th of July. He loved America, and he loved 4th of July. And he loved White History Month. So I'm sure all that played a role. President Joe Biden's campaign, and he hated Joe Biden. So let's roast Joe Biden for this White History Month. We don't count. Joe would celebrate Green Reptile History Month, not White History Month. President Joe Biden's campaign provided a list of approved questions to 2 radio hosts who did the first interviews with him after his faltering debate performance. Both hosts said on Saturday, Biden's Thursday appearances on black radio shows in the critical states of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania were his first chances to show he could answer questions and discuss his records after a debate with the 81-year-old repeatedly struggled to complete sentences and press his case against Republican Donald Trump. Radio host Earl Ingram said Saturday the Biden aides reached out to him directly for his interview that aired Thursday and sent him a list of 4 questions in advance about which there was no negotiation. They gave me the exact questions to ask. Ingram, whose The Earl Ingram Show is broadcast statewide across 20 Wisconsin outlets, told the Associated Press. There was no back and forth. But moving forward from the pair of radio interviews, the Biden campaign plans to refrain from offering suggested questions to hosts. Well, I heard in one article that they're not even going to do interviews. Oh, they're saying they'll no longer feed questions to the media. Oh, you've just been doing it this whole time? Just now you're saying you're no longer going to do it again? Like what conservatives have been saying from the beginning, that they feed him all of his questions in advance. Spoiler alert, conspiracy theorist. We got him again. We got him again, boys. But moving forward, oh wait. So they're saying they're not going to keep feeding him questions. New York Post, Biden campaign will no longer feed questions to media after being outed by radio hosts. So the radio host snitched on him. You know, they were giving me all the questions beforehand, and we weren't even allowed to talk about this. So that's not even an interview. Which makes me feel safe in saying that every interview Joe Biden has done has been bullshit this entire time. Shocker. But they'll call Trump incompetent when he can get up on a stage and just riff. Of course, he's using the same jokes, but comedians do that all the time. You know, he knows his best material. Well, he just gets up there and riffs. My family calls Biden Tata Biden. Tata equals grandpa. Oh, I thought Tata was like, so Grandpa Biden. I thought Tata was like a potato. He's probably got the IQ of a potato. Probably. So that's that. And yeah, it's the Biden campaign. You know what? We can't say too much about it. Not much going on over there. Who did a radio call this morning though? Do I have that one? That's not the one. I don't have it. I think I was watching it before the show. Let me see if I can check my history. Because he called into another radio show and he was all amped up. And then I want to get off of the Joe Biden topic. But let me see if I can find it. History. Here we go. It was James Klug was doing a video. I'm not going to play his whole video, but we'll play some.
There is also political uncertainty in France this morning, where a right-wing political party had been expected to take control of parliament after a second round of voting. Instead,
as recently as last Friday and Saturday,
coalition won the largest share of seats, but that is still not enough to take full control. This could mean political paralysis for France.
Sorry, that's another story we got. Hold on one second. We're having technical difficulties. I know Filipinos say tata. Is it Tata? Oh, Tata. Tata grandpa. Tata grandpa. In Germany, they say Opa. Opa and Oma. Okay. We'll watch a little bit of this James Clue clip of Joe Biden calling into this radio show or Good Morning America or something. It's probably a recording. I doubt this was done live. It could be AI.
Randomly screaming, which is certainly one way to start his week. You guys, we are going to be jumping into this just disaster of a segment in just 1 second.
Angry old man starts screaming into the phone. Challenge me!
First,
challenge me, mortals.
Everyone. Thank you all for being here. If you could please really quickly smash that like button and also follow me on that free speech video platform. I will put a link
James,
down in the
description.
Please go do that. And starts screaming into the phone, challenge me. If you have not.
The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. And again, I'm here for 2 reasons, pal. One, to rebuild the economy for hardworking middle-class people, give everybody a shot.
Everybody a shot.
Everybody gets a fair chance.
I know you got a shot, Joe. I know you want us to get the shot. That's your primary goal. What's the next shot we're going to have to get?
1. Number 2, remember all this?
You can get a shot of ketamine. You can get a little Vaseline to knock out the sniffles. Probably get maybe eventually a bug shot soon from the disease that comes from eating the bugs that I'm sure is inevitable. They're going to feed us the bugs, but they're going to put like new disease 28 inside of the bugs that we're eating and then give us a shot for that.
Let's talk about how I don't have the black support.
I'm just ready for the fake aliens. Can they hurry up and just get to the fake aliens and the fake nuclear war? Gosh, I'm tired of waiting. Just do it, guys. Jesus. Come on, man. You coming down? You coming down again yet? Jesus, my brother. You coming back yet? It's about time, buddy. It's about time.
Come on, give me a break. Come with me. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much.
The elites in the party. This is what James doesn't. He said, I'm talking about the elites in the party, but then he could have also said leaks in the party.
Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
He's saying the elites? That they know so much more, or are a play that doesn't
elites.
This is not.
So, Joe's amped up. Joe's ready to go. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. We're going to have round 2. We're going to run it back. Run it back. 2 to make it true. You don't just get to win once. You got to win twice. Okay. Last little main story of the news here. French elections. This is from Sky News Australia. They're saying France erupts. Left threatened democracy amid Marine Le Pen's election victory. So kind of like the elections they had in Guatemala, kind of like the elections they had in America, kind of like the elections they had in Brazil, kind of like the elections they had in a bunch of countries. This has been happening. There seems to be a rising of the right in whatever Overton window area you are. Seems to be like a rising of the right. And it seems like there's a lot of fire, passion within the movement. And then we lose. And then people riot. And they keep these crazy leftists in office. Sounded like the least. That call does sound pre-recorded. Yeah, I think it was pre-recorded. Let's look at this. I don't know if they're like rioting in France. These are fireworks.
It's extraordinary that
yep, they are.
We routinely hear Marine Le Pen's party described as fascists, and yet who are acting like the fascists? It's an element of the radical far left.
France. This Antifa. And these losers, anti-fascists, are the most fascist people. The people that are the least fascist are usually the people that will be like, a little bit of fascist is okay. A little bit of fascism is necessary, you know? And part of an ordered civilization, we do need a little bit of fascism. You know, we need a little bit of authoritarianism. Not too much, not extreme. You know, we're not going to cut your head off if you question the authorities. You're allowed to do that. But there's certain things we won't allow in our culture. Doesn't mean we're going to kill you for it. We're just going to kick you out. And you can go to one of the surrounding tribes or cultures or countries or states. Go where they do that crap over there. Get it out of here. The people who are okay with a little bit of fascism are usually the least fascist people. The people that say they hate fascism, all fascism is evil, they're usually the most fascist people. I don't think fascism is inherently right-wing. If you look up like definition of right-wing versus left-wing, they're going to tell you right-wing is usually religious people, reactionaries, nationalists, racists, and fascists. That's what they say the right wing is. And I don't think that's necessarily true. Fascists can be on the left too. I don't really think Mussolini was really that far right. He was very fascist, but, you know, fashionista. He was a fashionista. Is that where the word fashion comes from? I know fascist means bundle of sticks, and I know bundle of sticks, there's another word for that that kind of rhymes with fascist that also means bundle of sticks, and they also like high fashion, fascist, fat, Antifa every damn time. Yep.
In chaos. Protesters flooding the streets, threatening the very foundations of democracy. The nation reeling from unprecedented mayhem and braces for more unrest. So what sparked this alarming descent into turmoil?
Sky News Australia.
Of Emmanuel Macron, who, by the way, has sided extraordinarily. He has now called on voters to vote for the left.
Hey, that's the guy that married a man that was 20 years older than him.
To vote for Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who makes no secret of his hatred of the police. And so we've got the President of the Republic.
Yeah, this part of it is cop hating, ACAB. So lame. It's sad seeing supposedly right-wing people who fall into this mindset and hate the police. That's a poison that they feed to us, that authority or law enforcement is inherently bad. And then it makes us rebel against our authorities. We all become a bunch of little angry anarchists. And it's a mess.
Siding with a party that wants to defund the police. It is an extraordinary situation, and it just shows the moral squalor of France today, and an element of France. Now there are, of course,
there's old Brigitte.
Some people.
That's a man, baby. That's a man.
I would say.
Candace was early on this one, Floor. Floor's still here. Candace was early on this one. I had not heard about this till I heard her talking about it.
A minority of people who vote for Marine Le Pen, who do so.
All right. Let's see. Marine Le Pen. Leftists beat far right in France's snap parliamentary election. What happened in France's shock election and what next? On Sunday night, French voters had once again kept the far right out of power. On Monday morning, uncertainty, a huge parliament, shaky alliances, and the threat of turbulent years ahead. President Emmanuel Macron called France's snap parliamentary election to clarify the political situation. But after the shock second round results, the waters are more muddied than they have been in decades, while a surge in support for the left-wing New Popular Front, or the NFP coalition, foiled Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally Party French politics is now more disordered than it was before the vote. So what did we learn last night? Who might be France's next prime minister, and has Macron's gamble paid off? As we wind down our coverage, read the full story. Here's how France voted. 182. What is this number? Number of seats won in the 2024 parliamentary election. 182, the New Popular Front. 163, the Ensemble Alliance. 143, the National Rally and Allies. 68 for the other right. 11 for the other left, and 10 for other. Macron rejects his prime minister's offer of resignation. French President Emmanuel Macron has asked his Prime Minister Gabriel Attal to stay in his post for now, according to the source from LC Presidential Palace. I don't know all about French politics. I just thought this was interesting because there's another country that's having these
Tasha
election
Ray,
problems.
who made the claims.
So let's see what this CBS Morning is saying. And then we'll watch a little bit of Candace talking about how Brigitte Macron is a man, baby. That's a man, baby.
A right-wing political party had been expected to take control of parliament after a second round of voting. Instead, get this, a left-wing coalition won the largest share of seats, but that is still not enough to take full control. This could mean political paralysis for France's President Emmanuel Macron. Elaine Cobb has more.
Leftist supporters gathered in central Paris last night to heave a collective sigh of relief as the exit polls showed the French far-right's dream of taking power had been dashed, proclaiming it a victory for the values of the French Republic. On the sidelines, masked protesters clashed with police. As the count continues, the combined left group is tipped to take the most seats in Parliament.
Relieved more than anything. Really overwhelmingly relieved.
President Macron's
nothing good came from France.
Centrist alliance came in second, but will still have fewer seats than before. In a shock result,
look at that, paper ballots, though.
Against the predictions, the far-right trailed in third, as left and centrist voters turned out in force to block them. But it still made historic progress and is tipped to take 60% more.
This chick looks just like Hillary Clinton. I swear, when I saw this article, this picture, I thought it was Hillary Clinton.
Seats than in the last elections. However, it is destined to be in opposition.
There he is. That's definitely a man, baby.
To whatever coalition President Macron can pull together.
How likely are we to get the left working together?
This will be this very, very hard to predict. I mean,
Statue of Liberty was nice. Is it that nice, though? I guess. Yeah, it's kind of cool, I guess. French fries are good, but I don't even think they're... Yeah, except French fries and cuisine. And menage a trois. No, that's degeneracy. It's not good.
Dense fog. Some of these less radical MPs will join forces perhaps with the Socialists and the Greens and the Communists and form a government which could perhaps rest on the support and part of Macron's party in the parliament.
President Macron will have his work cut out for him forming a government, and he has vowed not to work with the far left, who made significant gains last night.
All right. Enough of that. We're not going to talk about Brigitte Macron being a man. Enough of that. And French toast. See, I don't even know if they made that stuff, or if we're just adding French to the front, and it ain't even French. Don't they have like crepes, a pipe and a crepe, cigarette and a waffle, bong and a blitz, pipe and a crepe, smoking a pancake? Outside of that is Africa Light. Let me find the memes. I don't have a soundboard. Where's my soundboard? Oh, yeah, I do. Let me test it. See if it's working. Let me test it. Let me test it. 1, 2. Hold up. I'm not playing that song anymore because it gets me copyright striked. Okay, we're not working. What's going on? Can't connect the voicemail. Some of the content may be better to check your connection and try again. Try again. Why can't you connect to the servers? We might not have no sound effects. Let's try this. Check. Hold up. Check. Headset microphone. Output. Check. I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to work. Soundboard's not going to work. That makes meme review boring. No sound effects? No sound effects. What the? All right, let's just do some memes. I don't have much rapid fire, and I don't have anything planned for a last segment. So I'm just going to mention some things about me and Wally's debate, and then read about this Johnson Amendment, because I haven't looked into it yet. So I want to look into it. Maybe we won't get to possible worlds and nihilism. And maybe I'll talk about that in the after party. We will do an after party 30 minutes after the show. But for now, look into the memes. We don't have no sound effects. Why? What's it say? Task 1, use a sketch to explain how you would stop racism. This is first test in grade 7 art. And it's like some crazy demonic like creature, and everybody's lined up naked. And there's like some demon bat bone creature thing in a valley. And it says, oh, I forget what it says. I think the quote said, he chose violence or something like that. He chose violence or something. But what is that? That's how you solve racism? Also, why are you asking this on a 7th grade art assignment? Dumb. Next. Oh, I don't know why that's in there. That was a thumbnail. It wasn't just the trees. Conspiracy corner time. You know the idea that Devil's Rock is a tree stump? Maybe it wasn't just tree rocks. Maybe there were giant mushrooms. A little Tartaria for you. A little Tartaria meme action. Hold on one second. Where did chat go? They're giant mushrooms. Bunch of guys come up. I don't know if this is like a libertarian meme, or I'm sure Native Americans would like this meme, but it does kind of make sense. So bunch of, hoodlums walk up on this guy's land. He says, get off this estate. And they say, what for? And he says, because it's mine. And they say, well, where did you get it? And he says, from my father. And they say, well, where did he get it? And he says, from his father. And they say, well, where did his father get it? And the guy says, he fought for it. And they say, well, we'll fight you for it. And that's what happens in a lawless land. But once you once you conquer that lawless land and you make law and order, then you don't have to worry about this problem. When you have law enforcement and you have, governments. Much as people hate governments and stuff, it's pretty nice when you have a civilized society instead of places where they haven't figured out a wheel yet. Next. I'm flying, Jack. And Jack says, the Rothschilds planted explosives on this ship. Oh, no. What the? Titanic theory. I don't believe that one. I believe the insurance scam. Captain Smith crashed it on purpose. It was actually the Olympic. And it was an insurance scam. I believe that one. I don't believe the Rothschild explosives theory. I don't believe the J-word royalty was on the boat. They had to take them out. And I don't believe that there was a mummy in the cargo that had a secret amulet that crashed the ship. I don't believe in any of those, but I do believe the insurance scandal, switching it out with the Olympic. Pit bulls are just land seals. Have you ever seen this? This is kind of true. I don't even see the difference. Some of these I can't even tell which one's a pit bull and which one's a seal. Like, look at this one at the bottom. Is that a pit bull or a seal? They're literally the same animal. Maybe evolution is real. Those are all the same thing, but one's in the water. What the? The Titanic. Allegedly Titanic. Next. If Facebook existed in 1776, the British are coming. False information checked by independent fact checkers. Not all of the British were coming, only the British Army. Oh, thank you, fact checkers. Next. Sending memes after society has collapsed on his donkey with solar panels. Let's go. Oh, Akbar out there in the desert. Boy. Hey, boy. Which of the other ones did you like? Oh my god, how cute. No, that was a baby mauler. Pitbulls are baby maulers. Boeing faces 10 more whistleblowers after 2 die. People's lives are at stake. Boeing hitman. Oh my god, another one. I'm so tired. I need a break. I'm tired. But I am tired. Okay, next. Here's Moses with the 10 Commandments. And Moses with the 10 Commandments comes along. He's asking government, which is a short-haired black woman, can we get some of these 10 Commandments involved in government? And she says, government can't impose morality. Meanwhile, stop hate crimes, women in men's restrooms, gun-free zone, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, bring back Roe, equality, gay flag, and then a little American flag hiding in the corner. Government can't impose morality. Really? Really? Seems like they do it all the time. Speaking of debate, since we'll do a little thoughts on some debate stuff after this. I'm surprised Andrew, when he debated John, didn't bring out his sword analogy. That there's the sword of power, and while the conservatives and the libertarians are deciding to be nice and not grab the sword, and use it against each other, the left, the progressives, the commies, they grab the sword and they cut off both our heads with it. Because we're too busy talking about, well, let's not pick it up. Maybe we don't. Maybe we will. Maybe not. Let's not. We shouldn't. The left grabs it and cuts off both of our heads. And I like his analogy for that. Anyway, next. Weapons of war in civilian hands are literally the entire fucking point of the Second Amendment. Smile. Next. Officers kill man with no active warrants at the wrong house. No active warrants is an odd yet intentionally malicious way of saying an innocent man. Oh, Chico here. Hey, Chico. They took him out. Why would people even listen to these people? I've never had that in a crepe. You having crepes? French. What are you, French? Next. What beeping? We ain't hear no beeping. This is the black diversity hire pilots. Bruh, if you see these two flying the plane, what beeping? We ain't hear no beeping. Your smoke detector, change the battery, bruh. If you see these two flying your plane, just catch the next plane. Just catch the next plane. We don't need another Boeing whistleblower taken out because you got on a plane that was destined to crash. Next. Lions being known for their majestic roar. The tiger, who actually makes 99% of all lion roars in movies. Is this true? We're going to do a live fact check. Because I never heard this. Do tigers make lion sounds in movies? Because I'm pretty sure the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer lion was an actual lion roar. Yes, tiger roars are often used in movies to represent lion sounds, especially for when the desired roar is more powerful than a lion's natural sound. For example, in the original Lion King, filmmakers used tiger roars in some scenes because lions don't have a very ferocious roar. A lion's roar, called a carol, can be heard up to 5 miles away and reach 114 decibels at a distance of about 1 meter. Most lions are actually tiger sounds. You learn something new every day. Next. Gay person. Yes, I'm gay. Yes, I live in Iran. We exist. Iranian government says not for long. Wah, wah, wah. Whoops. Next. This guy goes up to his friend. Hey, I heard you got Neuralink. How is it? He says, huh? Brian, is that you? Raid Shadow Legends, Big Mac, Planet of the Apes, Game of Thrones, Hulu, try Hulu, BetterHelp.com. All the ads are popping up in his face. That's all he sees is ads in his brain. That's funny. Don't get the Neuralink, guys. Next. Breaking. Michelle's office confirms she will not make a 2024 presidential run. It is not in my soul. And look at Obama's got his thumb up. That's right. I get to control Joe Biden for one more year. One more year, I'm going to be taking care of old Joe. And we don't have to have Big Mike. Look at her traps, bro. Look at Michelle. This has got to be edited. Bro, look at her traps. I almost think this is edited to make Big Mike look more masculine. Obama's like, I like this. She's not going to run. We don't have to have Big Mike taking over. Because he's scared of that too. Because Obama wears the pants, but Big Mike tells him when, where, and how to put them on. Next. My father full of lead poisoning. My grandfather full of asbestos. Me full of microplastics. I don't believe any of this stuff. I've talked about how asbestos is a lie before. Lead poisoning, probably also a lie. Radiation, it's a lie. Microplastics, I think this is BS. I think this microplastics crap is BS. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think it's going to be just like fossil fuels. It's just a way for us to make us stop using plastic so we can use some more expensive alternative that Bill Gates is going to manufacture. And recycling is fake. They just go to Bottle Island off the coast of China, where China's making this new plastic island. Yep. Plastics are everywhere. They've always been. It's not like we didn't create a new element when we made plastic. It's just made of stuff that's already here. I don't think the microplastics thing is real. I don't believe it. Next. This is Titanic writing some text messages. Titanic is writing a text message to Titanic's boyfriend, the Olympic. The boyfriend says, "Girl, be careful for icebergs. I know how you get sometimes. I'll be careful, LOL. You promise?" "Yeah." "Oh my God, you're going to hate me." That's a woman joke. You let them drive the car and they end up crashing into all the curbs. Josh, I felt Andrew went easy on John. He's good. I was watching him last night rip into these chicks on whatever. Yeah. Next. You know what's not cool, Bobby? Paying taxes on fireworks to celebrate the day we quit paying taxes. Huh? That's true. That's true. Fireworks are expensive. They shouldn't be so expensive. Holidays, part of the reason we do holidays is because it stimulates the economy. It makes people go out and spend money. Next. These are the hot girls in your Patriot group chat asking if you can help them shorten the barrel of their shotgun. Feds! We need the kicking the door down. Feds, get down! Please, get down! They break in the house. As Josh learned on Thursday, it's very easy not to speak with Bloodsport prescription strength Wally. Just don't be a rude dick. Yes. Next. He put on all his skin. He put his skin on all by himself for the first time. Is Elon a reptile in a skin suit? Is he? Or is he a good guy? Maybe he's a good reptile. I don't think so. Maybe he's the Antichrist. He's on our Antichrist watch list. We had 24-hour Walmarts and $1 McChickens. We had it all. I gotta take this nicotine patch out. This one's strong. When they're too strong, they give me the hiccups. I'm gonna start hiccuping. Next. This is Han Solo. Han open carries, hates trade regulations and tax fees, and opposes imperial outreach. Be like Han. I'm going to disagree with this. Be like Vader. Be like Darth Maul. The Empire was based,
The rebels were lame. They were commies. They're little rebel anarchist commies. Empire was based. We're Team Empire. Be like Darth. Unless you're a lefty, even polite lefties start out meeting prescription strength wire. Yeah. Yep. We asked the LGBT low IQ STD community how monkeypox spread from dogs to adult homosexual men to underage boys. Hey, I don't know. It seems kind of interesting. How did that happen? I don't know. Next. They have Biden's goal for the night written in the lower corner. Live. Live. Does that say live or live? It says live, Joe. Just live. That's all you have to do. Don't say anything. Just stand there. Nod your head. Don't poop your pants and live. Next. Democrats fly flags upside down after Biden debate performance. It's the Ukraine flag, the gay flag, the commie flag, and the Palestine flag, the Allahu Akbar flag. Malek Mar. Next. Someone in the United States has no clue that this is their last weekend with all 10 fingers. That's one for 4th of July, but we already have 4th of July, but in Utah, we're still doing fireworks all month long. Han also didn't think he had to pay his private debts. Yeah. That's right. Unless you're a lefty, even polite. Oh, I already read that. Luke Skywalker was a beta, but Vader was alpha. Except for the whole killing younglings thing. Yes, exactly. That was not cool. That was not nice. Stop giving me your toughest battles. This is Joe Biden crying to Jesus. Stop giving me your toughest battles. And Jesus says, it's literally one complete sentence, Joe. It's just one sentence. That's all you have to do. You just have to stand up and say one complete sentence and then find the stairs, survive the stairs, and don't poop yourself. It's not that bad, Joe. Next. How should I like this one? This is what was her name? Betty Sue no. Why do I want to say Betty Page? Who's Betty Page? It's not Susan B. Anthony. That was the feminist. But anyway, this is the lady making. I know Francis Scott Key wrote the national anthem, but who's the lady that made the flag? I'm forgetting her name. Anyway, she's sitting here making the flag. And she says, how should I do the stars? And he says, just spangle them bitches. We've got caps to pop and bodies to drop. Just spangle them bitches. Betty Ross, that's right. That's right. Just spangle them bitches. Betsy Ross or Betty Ross? Something like that, yeah. Betsy Ross, yeah. How should I do the stars? Just spangle them bitches. We got caps to pop and bodies to drop. So yeah, shouldn't stop to body rot. I like that. Just spangle them bitches. Next. Straight pride. It's natural, it's fun, it's worked for eons, and most of all, you can make babies. Hey, let's go. When you trust a fart 15 minutes after eating Taco Bell. Oh, no. You know the thing. Oh, no, Joe. I think I might have done this one before. And then this one's hilarious. I love this. We got Trump catching a nice big old fish, a nice big old salmon in the river, fly fishing out there in the water. This bear's coming up to get the salmon. You think he's going to try to steal the salmon. The bear doesn't steal salmon from Trump. The bear just wants to take a selfie with his MAGA hat on. I like that one. Let's go. Trump 2024, baby. Next. Guess my handicap. This is Joe on the golf course. Guess my handicap. He says speech, memory, walking, riding a bike, counting, dressing yourself. You seem to have a lot of handicaps, Joe. Next. Silence, homos. June is over. Yes. It is now White History Month, ladies and gentlemen. Next. Oh, Breaking Bad. Best show ever made. Joe Biden talking to Joe Biden. We're done when I say we're done. We're done when I say we're done, Joe. Okay, I'll do it. You listen to old Heisenberg here. Next. We've been accidentally cooling the planet, and it's about to stop. Humans' fossil fuel burning has cooled the planet while warming it, presenting problems in the future. The meme says, I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top. It's good strategy. Just sit in the middle and play both sides, and then you can never lose. Good strategy. Cooled fossil fuel has cooled the planet while warming it, guys. Biden said 6 or 8, maybe in the 80s. Yeah, definitely not now. Next. Liberal unsure which gender this pride flag represents. Yeah, what's with all these American flags? Which gender is this? Maybe there's 50 of them. Is that what the stars represent? The 50 genders? All right. And that's it for the memes. I don't have a soundboard. The fake nukes are coming. Okay. Let's see what we got in rapid fire news. Not a lot. Mainly just some weather stuff. Because it's in the news a lot, guys. It's summertime. You know what summertime means. Racist climate change. Racist climate change and acts of climate change violence. Climate change gun violence. Racist climate change gun violence is breaking out all over the country. Those were very funny, Josh. Thank you, Amanda. You could thank Stubborn One. Matthew gave me some of those. Let's see. I only got like 2 little reels here that were kind of funny.
Sold the most during the 1800s. Correct. What item was sold the most during the 1800s? Correct.
What? Whoa, that's not nice. This lady's crazy. Therapist, imagine this mannequin is your job. Let all your frustrations out. They do this in therapy. They let you beat up a mannequin. This is just funny because what she does at the end. Whoa, that looked a little... Whoa! Ew! Gross! Ew! Ew! What the? Okay. Women hate their jobs. Isn't that amazing? And then, hopefully the Haktua memes are almost dead, but we got a new one. Ah! Damn, reptile in the Haktua meme. Okay, that's enough reels. That's enough of that. Let's look at I think all of this is we got 2 little oddity news stories. But for the most part, this is all about racist climate change, guys. Racist climate change. You ready? Motorcyclist from The Guardian. Motorcyclist dies from heat exposure in Death Valley as temperature reaches 128 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, shocker. Spoiler alert, guys. It's called freaking Death Valley. Like, this happens every year. There's a reason they call it damn Death Valley. They have signs that say extreme heat danger. And it's just big open roads in the desert. If you don't have a full tank of gas and your car breaks down, you die. It's Death Valley. A visitor to Death Valley National Park died on Sunday from heat exposure, and another person was hospitalized as the temperature reached 128 degrees Fahrenheit in Eastern California. The 2 visitors were part of a group of 6 motorcyclists riding through the Baldwettor Basin area amid scorching weather, the park said. The person who died was not identified. The other motorcyclist was hospitalized. Is this a rapper writing this? The person who died was not identified. Other motorcyclist was hospitalized. in Las Vegas for severe heat illness, the statement said. The other 4 members of the party were treated at the scene. High heat like this can pose real threats to your health. Yeah. Okay. It's Death Valley, bro. Okay, so we got climate change. We got heat. Summertime, it's hot. Death Valley. Spoiler alert. It gets hot and people die there from the heat. Persistent heat wave in the U.S. shatters new records, causes deaths. Now, how do you know that it's shattering records if you've only been keeping data on this since like the late 80s? Do you really know that it's the hottest ever? Do you really know if you think the world is 4 billion years old? Do you really know that this is the hottest time ever? You have a fraction of a blink of history. You have data on just a tiny fraction of what you predict the world's age to be. And you think that you know that this is a record-breaking heat. A long-running heat wave that has already shattered previous records. But I agree with climate change because God is gonna let the world get hot. It's gonna get hot, boys and girls. It's not gonna be water this time. It's gonna be fire. The world's already been baptized by water. Now we're gonna be baptized by the fire. A long-running heat wave that has already shattered previous records across the U.S. persisted on Sunday, baking parts of the West with dangerous temperatures that caused the death of a motorcyclist. Excessive heat warning. National Weather Service's highest alert was in effect for about 36 million people, or about 10% of the population, said NWS meteorologist Brian Jackson. Dozens of locations in the West and Pacific Northwest tied or broke previous heat records. Many areas in Northern California surpassed 110 degrees, with the city of Redding topping out at a record of 119. Phoenix set a new daily record Sunday for the warmest low temperature. It never got below 92 degrees. At a high temperature, that means that its high wasn't the highest. Its low was highest, though. Or its low maintained higher than ever before, since they've been keeping data on it. A high temperature of 128 degrees Fahrenheit was recorded Saturday and Sunday at Death Valley. It's Death Valley, guys. Okay, so they're talking about the motorcycles again. Meanwhile, we got a hurricane coming. Actually, the hurricane's already hit Texas. Or Tropical Storm Beryl. It's a level 2, category 2. Not crazy high, but it's seeming to be somewhat destructive. Let's see if we can get this video to play without an ad. There's an ad. Can I mute the ad? This is from BBC. At least 4 people have died after Hurricane Beryl slammed into southeast Texas, knocking out power for nearly 3 million people. Hold on, let's watch what BBC has to say about this. Oh, we're just showing a guy. So this is like the old story that
I think what they'll do is
So this guy took the first offer of help, and God was able to save him from the flood. All I know is that looks fun.
Yep, the ladder is going back.
Oh, that's not even a
oh, there you go.
That's not even a helicopter. That's just a fire truck with the ladder extended, and they dropped a thing down to him. Makes sense, instead of bringing out the helicopter. But now when that truck comes along and you don't get on the thing, and then the boat comes along and you don't get on the boat, and then the helicopter comes on and you don't get on the helicopter, and you die and you go up and see God and you say, God, why didn't you help me? Why didn't you save me? And he says, what do you think the fire truck and the boat and the helicopter were for, dummy? What's up, Daddy Jub? Solar cycles. So, little Hurricane Beryl information. It hit, it's a category 1 hurricane, but it has since downgraded to a tropical depression. Officials warned of destructive winds. See, Texas, they don't know how to handle a dang hurricane like Florida can. Life-threatening storm surges. More than 1,100 flights were canceled at Houston's main airport on Monday, according to a FlightWave.com. Some 2.6 million customers in Texas were without power as of Monday night, said poweroutage.us. The storm caused at least 10 deaths in the Caribbean. The Houston Chronicle reported that 4 people had died in Texas, but an affiliate of CBS News, the BBC's U.S. partner, said 7 had died in Harris and Montgomery counties. 53-year-old man died after winds downed power lines and knocked a tree to his home. Also in Harris County, Houston Police Department employee Russell Richardson, 54, drowned after attempting to drive through high water on his way to work. That's crazy when that happens. Remember we listened to that 911 call a long time ago of the woman whose car got stuck in a flood and she's on the phone with 911 and you just hear her slowly drown basically on the phone. And the 911 lady's being very short with her and being very rude to her. I think that 911 lady lost her job, but it's crazy that you drive your car into something, the waters rise, and it kind of blows my mind that people die from that. But I guess maybe if you're from Florida, you're like surfer type, you would just get out of your car and know how to ride the river. But then you could get stabbed up by trees. I don't know. What was that movie I watched? It was like a tsunami movie that came out fairly recently. These people are at a hotel and a freaking tsunami comes. And it's crazy when it comes. It's like pushing them through the trees and stuff. When you're in that rushing water, you get stabbed up by stuff. I send my boys heavily edited pictures. Okay, Daddy Jub. Daddy Jub. Snapster pieces. Come on. That's not funny. Come on, man. Come on, man. Hurricane Beryl makes landfall. Nada, don't play with snakes with a wrench. She did lose her job. That was a messed up call. Yeah, that one's crazy. We listened to it a while ago.
The storm strengthening to a Category 1 overnight.
It will be a deadly storm for people who are directly in that path.
The center of the hurricane expected to pass just west of Houston later this morning as the wind, rain, and storm surge pummeling the coast moves inland. More than 120
water spouts and little
now
mini tornadoes
under
branching off.
For more than a week now, Beryl has been churning. The first hurricane
Storm
of the
surge.
season
Gotta watch
and
out for that
the
storm
earliest Category
surge.
5 ever recorded in the Atlantic. Terrorizing the
Dang.
Caribbean, flattening homes, severing communications.
Looks
and
pretty
taking
bad.
lives from
Wow, it
Grenada
looks
to
a lot
Jamaica.
worse than a
There's
Category
almost
1.
complete destruction
Well, that's
of,
Jamaica.
Homes and buildings
Deacon.
on the island.
Deacon Mitchell.
Now, as Beryl makes landfall in Texas, residents there hoping to avoid a similar fate.
Shutter it up, boys. They're ready. They got dang storm panels. All right, so that's your storm news. We'll keep our eye on all the strange storms around the world. Sign of the end times. Don't worry, I'm not a 7-day Adventist. I'm not. We're not starting a apocalypse death cult, guys. AP, here's an oddity story. An Arizona museum tells the stories of ancient animals through their fossilized poop. It's called the Poopseum. This is from AP. See, now it feels like that thing's not working very hard. But earlier, it was working hard. Maybe I just need to lower the temp. Got a new air conditioner in this room. And my mic boom is still screwed up. Need a new boom. Am I going backwards or forwards with this? What do you do? The dangers of floods doesn't register in my Florida brain. I just assume I'll float on my back chilling. Right. Right. That's what I would do. Get pitted, bro. Yeah, I'd get the skimboard and a trash bag. You run and jump on the skimboard or a longboard and you open the trash bag and you just surf it. One way to help tell how a Tyrannosaurus Rex digested food is by looking at its poop. Now, I believe in dinosaurs. I am not a dino denier. In fact, I can show you biblical evidence of dinosaurs. But I do think a lot of archaeology is BS. And they make up a lot of stuff. And I don't believe in carbon dating. But this seems like a scam to me. A poopseum. We're looking at dino poop now. We have dino poop. This stuff is supposed to be 4 billion years old, but somehow we have organic material found in dinosaur bones and in their poop. We got T-Rex poop. Bro, my dog poops in the front yard and it's gone in like 3 days. It's just gone. It disappears. I don't know what happens to it. You know? It just evaporates. It just turns back into dirt. They're telling me they got T-Rex poop from 4 billion years ago, and they're going to tell us how the dinosaurs existed because of their examining their doo-doo. Bone fragments and a piece of fossilized excrement at a new museum in northern Arizona, aptly called the Pooseum, are among the tinier bits of evidence that indicate T-Rex wasn't much of a chewer, but rather swallowed whole chunks of prey. Wow. The sample is one of more than 7,000 on display at the museum that opened in May. In Williams, a town known for its Wild West shows along Route 66, wildlife attractions, and a railway to Grand National Park. The Pooseum sign features a bright green T-Rex cartoon sitting on a toilet. Inside, display cases filled with coprolites, fossilized feces from animals that lived millions of years ago. I call BS on that. Line the walls. They range from minuscule termite droppings to a massive You got a termite poop from 1 million years ago? Bullshit. Actually, that's a very apt term. Dino shit. I think that's a heaping pile of dino shit. I've laid a few logs that would last that long. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dean loves it. Look at this. Look at this dino poop. Dino doo-doo. All right. And meanwhile, in Colorado, they have a large Argentinian native rodent on the loose. We're not talking about illegal immigrants. Well, apparently, Homo sapien is not the only illegal immigrant that we have in America. Argentina is sending over, looks like a nutria. Is it a nutria? What is it?
Tonight in Lakewood, there's a rodent on the loose.
A rodent?
One in particular.
Yeah, it's called illegal immigrants. There's a lot of them. We got rodents everywhere.
You know, there's
or as Joe Biden would call them, cockroaches. That looks like a nutria, though.
more. One in particular.
We're talking about one.
As 9 News reporter Rachel Krause shows us, this is far from what you would expect to see here in Colorado.
At Bear Creek Lake Park in Lakewood, spotting wildlife is part of the experience.
Yes.
But what Caravan Who's at CPW is searching for is anything but ordinary.
What is it?
Yeah, I had to Google it and learn about Patagonian maras.
Not your
Patagonian maras?
Typical Colorado fare.
People have been reporting seeing one here in the park, here at Bear Creek Lake Park.
Patagonian maras are small, only about 2.5 feet tall, about knee height. Kind of like this guy, Lionel.
So they are a larger species of rodent, even though they've got ears that are pretty long like a rabbit and legs that
Whoa, it looks like a little rabbit kangaroo.
look almost like a deer.
Cat Emmanuel and Emily.
It's a little deer rabbit kangaroo. Evolution is proven, guys. Evolution is real. We got a deer rabbit kangaroo on the loose.
Sulaco with Denver Zoo say these guys are native to Argentina, pretty far from Lakewood, Colorado.
So what are these dang border jumpers? Freaking Patagonian Mara trafficking? These guys trafficking in the Patagonian Mara? What the heck? And watch, they're probably super invasive. They're probably going to eat all our crops. And Bill Gates is going to come in with a Patagonian Mara extermination device. But in the process, we're all going to have to eat the bugs.
Colorado.
I don't think it walked all the way from Argentina.
Because so many people have seen it,
You want one?
says
No, do not traffic a Patagonian Mara from Guatemala over here, Floor. That's not going to happen.
this animal is used to humans and was likely a pet.
It could be concerning, that kind of behavior.
It's not a pet. You don't get to freaking have giant rat deer kangaroo bears.
He's probably not used to
keeping an eye out for a lot of dangers in his environment if this is the case, and so it can be concerning for an animal that's out in the park. That's one of the reasons that we
gotta
are
rescue
helping our partners in Colorado Parks and Wildlife.
We got to rescue him. I bet you in 2 years we're going to find out about the new Patagonia Mara disease, because we got to rescue them. We got to save them, even though they're probably a super invasive. Like the nutrias in the Everglades, you can just go hunting them. You don't have to have a license or nothing. You can just go shoot them down things. Just take them out. There's too many, and they eat up all the crops. That's going to happen here. And these things are going to have a weird disease that was made in a biolab. Watch. Keep your eye on the dang Patagonia Mara. All right? I don't care how cute they are. They're not cute. Come on. What's wrong with these women? We got to save them. We're going to save all the Patagonia Mara. We're going to put them in a cage and take care of them with a stick and a leaf. No. All right. That's that. We got like 20 minutes left. Just a little recap, since I never did like a debate review or a debate recap with Wally. It was good. It was nice. If Wally's still here, you seemed a little nervous at first. I know I give off a intimidating presence. In my closing statements, I didn't have a closing statement. I said something like, you didn't address any of my opening points. That's not true. You did address one of my opening points. Your Johnson Amendment argument was great from my first point about churches getting involved in the government, but it didn't address the uprising of smaller churches and cults. I think you pretty much agreed to me that that will happen. And then the idea was that we have to come up with a way to define what counts as a church, but you didn't give any recommendations for solutions of how we could do that. And you kind of more just came to the conclusion that it's okay that we have all these outcroppings and little churches popping up everywhere. And I'm still not okay with that. So that wasn't rebutted. And then the fact that it goes against Establishment Clause, we didn't really get much into Waltz versus the State Commission of New York and how that was a scam. He was gonna freaking represent himself and came down with a strange flu the day of the trial and got represented by some incompetent lawyer who was mumbling and stumbling and didn't really understand what he was saying. And they lost. And I think just because a Supreme Court decision is made doesn't mean that it's necessarily constitutional or right. Just because the Supreme Court said it was. I think Waltz and Ulysses S. Grant were onto the right idea still. But you did rebuttal my strongest point, which is about churches not getting involved in the government. So I wanted to look into this Johnson Amendment. So we're just going to read a little bit about that. I got to remember which folder I put it in. So it's in the past research folder, church taxes. Maybe it's in my... I'm just going to Google it because I can't find what folder I put it in. It was Johnson Amendment, right? And I'm not a constitutional law professor, but I want to see if this is actually a solution. Because one of the commenters seemed to think that it wouldn't be a solution. We would still have to deal with the 501c3 at some point. The Johnson Amendment is a provision in the U.S. tax code since 1954 that prohibits all 501c3 nonprofit organizations from endorsing or opposing political candidates. Section 501c3 organizations are the most common type of nonprofit organization in the United States, ranging from charitable foundations to universities and churches. The amendment is named for then Senator Lyndon B. Johnson. Shocker. Oh, Lyndon B. Johnson worked on this? Shocker, that damn commie. Who introduced it in a preliminary draft of the law in July of 1954. 1954. I have a timeline here. So the year 300 is the Constantinian origins of church tax exemption. 1776, the form of the Americas and the origin. Oh, from America's origins, taxes were exempt. 1875, Ulysses S. Grant gets the signatures on the petition to support church taxation. 1894, the Tariff Act makes the church tax exemption law. 1935, America institutes welfare. 1967, okay, so we add this. 1954, the Johnson Amendment. So that came about 60 years after the Tariff Act, about 20 years after welfare. We get the Johnson Amendment. So it's named for Lyndon B. Johnson. Wow. So we really should cut off America's Johnson because everything bad came from Lyndon B. Johnson. That was the Model Cities program. All that crap. This guy was a damn commie. I would have argued that it would be difficult to roll back. Lyndon B. Johnson just pushed it through and nobody even cared. Huh. No Church of the Fawns? No, the Fawns doesn't get a church. I have no idea why I sound like Borat to Josh. No, Borat puts my brother in a cage. La la la. We put my retarded brother Bilo in a cage. The Mexican sounds more like Speedy Gonzalez. We still put the rat kangaroo in the cage. It's different. It's different. Those are not the same things. 1967, Loving v. Virginia. Government can make no laws restricting interracial marriage. And then this played a role in 2015's Obergefell versus Hobbs, where they used Loving versus Virginia as the precedent to secure no restriction on gay marriage rights. And when the government is, basically giving the churches a benefit as long as they don't talk about certain things, this is how the government inevitably gets involved with controlling marriages in the church and stuff. And this is why I agree that marriage should be a religious institution, not a state institution. 1969, Waltz versus the Tax Commission of the City of New York challenges church tax exemption and loses. So we listened to that on the stream. And yeah, the lawyer was incompetent. But Waltz was supposed to represent himself. So in the early 21st century, some politicians, including former President Donald Trump, have sought to repeal the provision. Ooh, Trump tried to repeal the Johnson Act. Let's go. Arguing that it restricts the free speech rights of the churches and other religious groups. These efforts have been criticized because churches have fewer reporting requirements than other nonprofit organizations, and because it would effectively make political contributions tax deductible. It would effectively make political contributions tax deductible. So if the church made a political contribution, if we repealed the Johnson Act, the church would not only be able to talk about and endorse a candidate, but donate to a candidate. So they could take some of the tithing money and donate to a candidate. And now your donation to a candidate is tax deductible, which I guess maybe it's not supposed to be. Donating to a candidate is not supposed to be tax deductible. Paragraph 3 of subsection C within section 501 of the Title 26 Internal Revenue Code of the U.S. Code describes organizations which may be exempt from U.S. federal tax income. It is written as follows with the Johnson Amendment in bold letters. Corporations in any community, chest, fund, or foundation organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, scientific testing, for public safety, literary, or educational purposes, or to foster national or international amateur sports competition, but only if no part of its activities involve the provisions of athletic facilities or equipment, or for the prevention of cruelty to children or animals, no part of the net earnings of which ensures the benefit of any private shareholder or individual, no substantial part of the activities of which is carrying on propaganda or otherwise attempting to influence legislation except as otherwise provided in subsection H, and which, this is the bold letters, and which does not participate in or intervene in, including the publishing or distributing of statements, any political campaign on behalf of or in opposition to any candidate for public office. Bolding added. The amendment affects nonprofit organizations with 501c3 tax exemptions, which are subject to absolute prohibitions on engaging in political activities and risk of loss of tax-exempt status if violated. Specifically, they are prohibited from conducting political campaign activities to intervene in elections to public office. The Johnson Amendment applies to any 501c3 organization, not just religious organizations. The amendment was to a bill in the 83rd Congress, H.R. 8300, which was enacted into law as the Internal Revenue Code of 1954. The amendment was proposed by Senator Lyndon B. Johnson of Texas on July 2nd, 1954. The amendment was agreed to without any discussion or debate and was included in Internal Revenue Code of 1954. The provision was considered uncontroversial at the time and continued to be included when the 1954 code was renamed as the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 during the Ronald Reagan administration. Repeal efforts in 2010, the Alliance Defending Freedom made attempts to challenge the Johnson Amendment through the Pulpit Freedom Initiative, which urges Protestant ministers to violate statute and protest-based. The ADF contends that the amendment violates First Amendment rights. Yep, that's what I would argue. During his 2016 presidential campaign, Donald Trump called for the repeal of the amendment based. After becoming president, Trump vowed at the National Prayer Breakfast to totally destroy the Johnson Amendment. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer announced to the press that Trump committed to get rid of the Johnson Amendment, allowing our representatives of faith to speak freely and without retribution. Damn. Another reason to support Trump, as if we needed more, you know. On May 4th, 2017, Trump signed the presidential executive order promoting free speech and religious liberty. The executive order does not repeal the Johnson Amendment, nor does it allow ministers to endorse from the pulpit, but it does halt the enforcement of the consequences by directing the Department of Treasury that churches should not be found guilty of implied endorsements where secular organizations would not be. Douglas Laycock, speaking to the Washington Post, indicated that he was not aware of any cases where such implied endorsements have caused the problems of the past. Walter B. Jones Jr. had the principal congressional advocate for repealing the speech restriction altogether and had support from the Family Research Council in modifying religious speech language in the Kevin Brady-sponsored tax rewrite legislation styled the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. Okay. Criticisms. So there's been criticisms. There's been challenges to it, including Trump. Lyndon B. Johnson. It's named for Lyndon B. Johnson. See, I don't know how I missed this in my research. So he did catch me off guard. Nada, you said, what if he drops an argument that you aren't ready for? And I said, I hope he does that because it'll make it more interesting. If he just says a bunch of arguments that I'm already prepared for and I've already made rebuttals to, it's not going to be as interesting. But I did feel like I kind of was leading the conversation. I was hoping for Wally to jump in and get hyphy, but he stayed very calm, and it was just a respectful conversation. But he did get me. So he definitely had a strong rebuttal to one of my main points. Even though in my closing I said he didn't rebuttal any of my opening statements, he did. He did rebuttal my strongest one with a very good rebuttal. So he gets a point for that. But I don't know. I think if we come to in a way, he gets the W because he did defeat my strongest argument and come up with I made a concession. I had to concede on a point and say basically that is a better solution than repealing 501c3, which is what I'm arguing is that we should get rid of that. He gave me a better solution. So technically he gets the W from that, but I think technically I get the W for basically kind of controlling the conversation, controlling where everything was going the whole time. Every question I asked, I kind of knew what his answer would be. Except for the Johnson Amendment thing, I kind of knew what his answer was going to be, and I had a rebuttal ready. So I got points for that. But I don't know who won. I'm not going to say it's a loss, but I'm not going to say it was a win. But it was fun. I will say that. So that's that. And then speaking of debate stuff, hopefully at the end of the month, we'll have a free will debate. I don't know. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'll find somebody else. But I already got it pretty much written and put together and all all my ideas. And over this next month, I'll be dropping little tidbits of ideas. But the free will debate, one of the greatest debates in history, I think. One of the most interesting. The problem is, I don't think that there's really a right answer. Or at least we have no way of knowing. So all we can do is make the best ideas that we have and what we think, and pose our put up our arguments and see if they stand up. But Nada and I were talking the other night, and he was saying, again, I don't know if you were doing this intentionally, Nada, but you were like, I think you're right about the free will thing. I think you're right. But I feel like there's just no point in trying. And that's the problem with the free will thing. If you tell people this and they start to believe it, and it totally turns their worldview upside down, and they realize they don't make choices. You make choices, but your will determines your choice. You can will your choices, but you can't will your will. And so if you come at it from an atheist, deterministic, everything's based off causality and the universe is the puppet master pulling the strings and we're just puppets. And if you take that approach, then it probably would lead to nihilism. But nihilism is the biggest argument against this idea that free will doesn't exist, because people start to think, well, then what's the point in trying? And I've said this before, and I've talked about this before, that this is what happens to people sometimes when they start to believe this. And that, if that's you, I say, don't even listen. Just keep believing in free will. If it makes you feel like, what's the purpose to life? If you stop believing in free will, then just keep believing in it. But for me, I have no choice, because I don't believe in free will. I have no choice but to believe this way. And when I stopped believing that God gave me free will, which is what all the Christians teach, and when I started looking to it in the Bible, looking into all the verses that people say are about free will, I'm like, yeah, it says we have a choice to make, but then God literally commands us how to make that choice. So the verse, it'll be a verse talking about you have a will and you have a choice to make, and I command you to make this choice or you're gonna suffer and die. On the next line. And it's like, well, you left that part out. You left the part out where he says, I command you to make this choice or you're gonna suffer and die. Whether it be the Garden of Eden or whatever, all the verses that people will use to reference free will, when you really break it down, it's talking about a choice and it's talking about consequences. And if there are benefits or consequences, then it's not free will. And if it leads you to nihilism, then I think you should just don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. When I believed that I had free will, I was doing as thou wilt. I was living like I willed myself to do things. Even though apparently I was constantly willing myself to do things I didn't want to do. How does that make sense? Then when you realize that you don't have control and you render your will to the Father, that's when my life started changing for the better. But I guess with some people, once they start looking at it that way, I think maybe they're missing God from it. Like, there is a lawgiver. There is a will to follow. It's just not your will, it's God's will. And I think that could lead to perfect peace. But a lot of people hear this and it totally screws them up, because they start to think about it, they start to question it, but they don't have the God part of the equation, just like psychology, just like addiction. This ties into with the addiction stuff from earlier. that once they start to think this, they think, what's the point? What's the point? There's no reason to try. I can't change anything. And then if they don't find God to fill that hole, then they just kill themselves. And it's sad. So I don't know. I was going to talk about possible worlds. Maybe I don't want to give too much of my free will arguments away, even though anybody who watches the show knows all my arguments already. But I've been coming up with some new, kind of reworking some already well-known analogies that have been used in this debate, kind of making them my own, but taking ideas from here and there. And I got a pretty good one. I call it the donut problem, but I'm going to save it for the debate. But there's some interesting ones that I've been looking into, some interesting analogies and problems, theoretical, hypothetical problems that people have had in this debate throughout history. This is one of the greatest debates throughout all of history, so that's why I want to do it. Hopefully it can be cordial. You guys, so I was going to talk about possible worlds. But maybe if I'm going to end the stream here in a minute, take Echo for a walk, use the restroom, go get a couple beers. I didn't buy a dang 30-pack because I get a 30-pack and I hope for it to last the whole weekend. But instead what happens is I do a 12-hour stream and I drink like 28 of the beers. So I only got like 8 short boys and I'm going to get a couple tall boys at the gas station. So I can't, basically I won't have enough beer to get smashed. Yeah. Hopefully. If not John, we'll find somebody else. But hopefully he'll do it. We kind of got some beef, but I don't want to really talk about it unless he wants to talk about it. But he can call me, or he can jump in the Discord, whichever. But and we've kind of already had a little mini practice of it, but where I went into some of my ideas and stuff, but we haven't gone too deep into it. But hopefully he still wants to do it. I don't know. So, possible worlds. If you guys want to, we talked about it before, but when I talked about the modalist argument for God a couple months ago, we'll talk about in string theory. We've talked about string theory and multiverse theory and possible worlds and stuff, but I'll probably read a little bit about them because I know a lot about that, but I want to get refreshed on it because that's a common argument you'll run into with people who believe in free will. They'll present you with the possible worlds argument, but then I can just as easily take that possible worlds argument and flip it on its head and show you how that's very harmful with my donut problem. But the possible world thing, I feel like that's more harmful of a worldview than no free will. And that everything is predestined, not by the universe, but by God. There are puppet masters. We are puppets on strings. We are slaves. But it's not to the universe. It's not to evolution and causality and microns and quantum mechanics and cosmology and things like this, and energy and vibration. I think I said vibrations already, but it's not because of that. It's because God, your father is God or your father is Satan. Your leader, your puppet master, your string puller is God or Satan. And Satan doesn't know where the end is. So I guess under that if he's pulling your strings, free will makes sense. But if God's pulling your strings and God already knows, anyway, I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but I think you get where I'm going with that. Sorry for your buddy. God bless. I might try to stop the after party. Hey, thank you, B-Wise. I don't have any little music to play for an outro, but we're just gonna say goodbye. Thank you guys. Cashapp Dreadedconservative if you want to send some pizza and beer money. Hit the like button on your way out. Watch for the thumbnail here in a minute. I'll throw up a little thumbnail for the after party here in a little while. And we'll start in about 30 minutes, let's say. Around 9:30, 9:45, we'll get started. Do a little after party after I walk Echo, get a little bite to eat. But God bless, guys. Sorry for the down and depressing and kind of low energy show, but you know, I don't know. This one really messed me up. A bunch of my friends have died from this stuff, and but Todd was probably the closest one. So R.I.P. Todd. Big ups to the homie. We'll pour one out for the homie. I don't want to pour it on my floor. We'll pull it out in this cup when I get back for the after party. But that was a damn good show. But I'll see you guys later in just a little bit. God bless everybody. We out. Peace. Music time. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.